This is the Big O Show. 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 This is
Welton Rayon.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zins Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zins Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house!
Get out of the house! Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Alrighty, welcome aboard. Time to rock and roll from the beautiful offices of KSDT CPA right here in Doral. You know, we have 3 beautiful offices, by the way. One in Broward. We got one in Weston. Anybody pick that up? And we've got one in Palm Beach. Okay. So there you go. It's all over the place here in South Florida. So come on out and join us at KSDT. They will, of course, help your business grow. And personally, they can take care of your taxes. And if you're a crypto guy like me, they also have crypto experts. They have a crypto department. So that is very interesting. That's one of the reasons why we kind of have teamed up. Ooh, I got my tickets for Collective Soul at the Culture Room, February 17th. Thank you, Mr. Grieper. Appreciate you, my brother. My brother from another mother, Robert Grieper. Thank you, sir. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a Friday. Dude, you got a weekend off. Why? Is the Squirrel Circle Digest making a debut over the weekend, or is it going to start next week? Well, no, I know, but that's the normal stuff. But like, you're not actually doing a broadcast this weekend, because although you got to admit, you wish we were, right? I mean, I would love to see the Dolphins alive for one more week. That would be absolutely fantastic if the Dolphins were alive for one more week, man. So I would love that, man. So there you go. John Yang's asking, where the hell are we? What don't you like see it from the screen? See KSDT everywhere. Like, what are you new to the show? Once a month, we're here at the KSDT offices, man. So we're out here having some fun, huh? Oh, okay. Oh, where the hell are you? Oh, like we were. Oh, because we were late. There you go. Oh, okay, I got you, John. Now, I got you. Drago says good morning. I see Steve Chapman in the house. Jamie Zorrilla out in San Jose. Steve Chapman there with, what is it? Oh my God. Mike Florio was just on with Joe saying that he expects Brian Flores to be named Arizona's coach because he's exactly who Kyler Murray needs. I disagree with that. He's right and he's wrong. Kyler Murray needs an ass kicking, right? There's no doubt. I don't think Kyler Murray can handle an ass kicking. There's a difference, right? Come on, man. A lot of us are parents. And if not, you see other parents and you see other kids, right? And there are some kids that are just soft. And you're not going to be able to go be tough with them because they may not, they'll go into a shell nowadays. And I don't know, Kyler Murray seems to me like the kind of kid that kind of goes into a shell. Kind of like he's like dead set on his way, not your way, and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it would not be a good clash between the two. Maybe I'm wrong. Either way, he doesn't know. I mean, I hope it happens because that would be so Cardinals for them to do that. That would be funny. He actually said that. That's funny. I mean, they are cheap. They kind of go low budget, so that and Brian Flores would be low budget because you're not getting a really good coach or an elite coach or anything like that. So he can't ask for a lot of money. Yeah, that kind of sounds them. Yeah, that kind of sounds them. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see. John, that's just not right. Richard J. Leonard is in. Ilea Bread is in. Nizzle. I see Christian. Lisa Rose. Gus 1388. Jay Gelfin is in. Johnny Badillo. J-Town. True Fin Fan 78. Timothy Eason. Let's see. Tua Tam. Kyle Cockrell. Robert Triana. D. Jesse, thank you all out there, man. Freddie Cervantes. Did Patrick Surtain sign with? Yes, he did. He is the secondaries coach, Freddie. Good move by the Seminoles. Good move by Mike Norvell, right? Nice move by Mike Norvell because not only do you get a proven coach, but you also get a guy that can help you in recruiting big time. And has connections to South Florida sports. So I think that that's really, really important in that sense. So that's a good thing out there. All right. We love it. The folks out here at KSDT CPAs. It's a beautiful thing. So good move by them to add Patrick Surtain to the staff. Question is Sean. Why don't wrestlers tear ACLs like football players? There's a lot of twists and turns going on, and often they jump from the top of the turnbuckle and very little room. Now, wait a minute. Before you answer that, okay? All right. See, the thing that you don't know, Karen, is that before they wrestle, they have to play the game twist a lot. So in all that stuff of going, right, was it called twist or something? Twister, that's it. So they become very flexible. So wrestlers train in twister first, which that's what they should do with NFL players. Now you go ahead and answer it seriously.
All right. The difference is most wrestlers go out there and put on a 8 to 15 minute match and have warmed up in the back for about 30 to 45 minutes. They've stretched, they've done a lot of stuff. And now again, freak things happen.
And it's choreographed.
Yeah, but freak things happen when you come off the top rope. I mean, I've seen, and again, especially in independent wrestling, I'm not talking WWE, AEW. The mats are a little bit different, So sometimes the padding, they might have cut something so your foot lands in the middle and you can tear your knee out. I've seen that happen. I've seen people land wrong and blow out their shoulders and things like that. Those happen. But for the most part, it doesn't happen because there's time to warm up. You don't see the NFL guys before they're about to run out to the field. You'll see the quarterbacks maybe throw a little bit. You'll see them maybe stretch out their legs, but they're doing that before every match for 30 to 45 minutes in the gorilla position, waiting for their match to go.
But football's not choreographed. Whereas anything can happen. You can get blindsided. In wrestling, you're not going to get blindsided because you have practiced the moves already.
No, it happens.
I'm sure
I've seen.
I'm sure it's going to happen, but I think it should happen less in wrestling, only because you kind of know what's coming, so you're able to prepare. You're already. You're athletic,
that you don't have 54. You don't have 20 guys out there where a guy gets blocked into your leg,
right,
and things like that. So I mean, for that instance, yes, but I mean, as far as for the choreographed part not causing injuries, I mean, if you drop somebody on their head, you can plan it in the back all you want, but when you go out, for instance, Big E.
No, but he's talking about blown knees. He's just talking about blown knees.
I mean, for ACLs, I mean, it's more the fact that people aren't getting blocked into you or falling over or things like that. I mean, that's the gist of it. But also, it's a lot to do with them being able to prepare every time for 8 to 15 minutes. They've stretched for 45 minutes, or and again, when you get to WWE, AEW, they have trainers. Right. So they're still getting this is before a match, not a game or anything like that. So there's a lot more going into it than I think a lot of people know, but it's a lot of stretching and it's a lot of, and again, it depends also on how people work out. Like back in the day, it was all muscle. So people would get hurt a lot easier because they just trained to lift 550 pounds. They didn't do the CrossFit and everything else that everybody's doing now, to where you're even more flexible, more, and things like that. So I think that's also a reason why a lot of injuries are cut down, because they're not squatting 3,000 pounds or whatever, to get the big muscle look. You're not as tight anymore. So there's a lot less injuries that way as well.
Well, and listen, and it's not to demean wrestling or anything, but because I believe that you've already practiced these moves with each other and all these kind of things. These guys are pros. They're super athletes. And so just like ballerinas, just like when you go watch a Broadway show, that they're all bouncing and dancing around and diving and doing all kinds of stuff, Cirque du Soleil or whatever, all these kind of things are all already pre-prepared and choreographed and practiced, and you're trained for it. So I think that's why they're tearing less knees in wrestling than they would in football, because in football, there are so many things going on that are completely out of your control. Besides somebody rolling on you, dude, it's just a cut in the grass the wrong way, and your knee gives. Those are things that you're not really doing in wrestling or in ballet or in Broadway or in Cirque du Soleil. These are all things that your body continuously practices and already arranged. So I think that's kind of why they probably have less knee injuries in all those kind of sports compared to football.
And then also when you come off the top rope, you're trained enough to know how to, land. You don't lock your legs out, Sid Vicious, and things like that, so, you land. And again, I say Sid Vicious because they had a guy, 6'7", 350 pounds. They asked him to jump off the top rope and hit a boot on somebody and land on one leg off of the ropes.
That's stupid.
And his leg snapped.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So again, it's one of those things to where, yes, I don't want to say, because I know everybody in the chat's always like, oh, we got to teach Tua how to fall and this and that. But you learn how to brace yourself. You learn how to do, it's like in the military when you're doing marches and everything else. Once you finish marching, they tell you, when you go to a position of attention, you don't lock your legs. If you lock your legs, you're going to collapse. You keep your legs bent to a certain angle and you go good. It's the same thing with wrestling. Everything's little things. And most of the wrestling stuff is, legit holds, just not done to legitimately hurt somebody.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
if wrestling was made to hurt people, oh God.
Did you see the slap thing?
Yeah.
You watched it?
No, I didn't watch it. I watched the highlights.
I see on social media.
Yeah. I saw that one recorded video of the guy with the big face.
Yeah, I don't know where that was from. That wasn't from.
No, definitely not.
But they had Chris Nowinski already went on the concussions ones. Like, dude, it's just amazing. It's amazing how we have all this stuff about head trauma, and that's on TV.
Well, because it's probably not state regulated or anything, right? Is it? I doubt it. It's got no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably not even regulated. So that's why they're doing it. And people will do anything for money, and they don't care about the consequences later on. That's just kind of the way it is. Jamie says Big O and Sean, as far as ACLs, is different types of motion. Look at when knee ligaments are blown. That's typically when they are running full speed and making cuts or getting hit. Not always. I've seen guys lightly jogging off the field. I've told the story many times of Ed Perry blowing out a knee ligament because he stepped on the grass and the part where the baseball diamond and the grass meet, and it just made his knee buckle a little bit. Bam. And that's a highly trained athlete. And that happens to a whole bunch of guys, dude. I mean, it's just one of those things. But I think the fact that these guys, these wrestlers, are such great athletes, and they have the timing of all this stuff of how to bring each other down and make it look great, but at the same time, they're not trying, like he said, they're not trying to hurt each other. If they were trying to hurt each other, then all kinds of ligaments would be blown and all kinds of shoulders. And, oh, my God, the injuries in wrestling, you would never have champions lasting long. You would never have – it wouldn't be fun, actually. It would be very I don't know. It would be very.
It would be the territory days before WWE did what they've done. There was guys that got. Funny story. Hulk Hogan wanted to be a pro wrestler. Came to Florida. Hiro Matsuda broke his leg. Because again, back then, it was kayfabe, and people that came into the business weren't wisened up until they were sure they were going to be able to stick around.
Right.
Then they wisened them up. You know what I'm saying? So back then, think about this. Hulk Hogan had his leg broken.
Yeah. That's a strong dude. That's because those legs are tree trunks, dude. Jesus, that guy is enormous. We got a super chat in the house. I'm sorry. Adam Outdoor Bushcraft Bear. I am Bushcraft Bear. I am right in front of the volcano. Anybody watch that channel when the volcano was going off in the Canary Islands? There's a guy named Bushcraft Bear, and he talks like that. I'm Bushcraft Bear. He's like this expert outdoorsman. And then all of a sudden, he became this YouTube sensation while the volcano was erupting in the Canary Islands. And he would film the volcano every day and give like updates and all. And he's kind of a trip, actually. So just in case, just look up Bushcraft Bear, and you'll find it. But Adam Outdoor Bushcraft Bear. I can only say it one way. I'm sorry, Adam. Good morning, sir. Who do you want to replace Boyer? Somebody super established. Don't go get me another young defensive coordinator. You know what I mean? If you're going to fire Boyer, then go get a guy that is established. I don't know who's available yet. You know what I mean? And everybody uses the lazy one, Fangio. You know what I'm saying? And that almost tells me that for sure we're not getting Fangio. That's the worst part about it. Everybody talks about it. And plus, it looks like he's tied with Sean Payton now, or, so wherever Sean goes. And Sean, if you're smart, go to the Houston Texans, bro. Go to the Houston Texans. They got all the picks. They got all the cash. Samuel Robina says, good morning, Big O. I think Zimmer should be Zimmer is in Colorado. He took the job with the Colorado Buffaloes. He's working with Deion Sanders. So we can't. Thank you, Samuel. Appreciate you. But some of you are not keeping up with the world of sports. He's there in Colorado. He already signed the contract. He's there. Great move by Deion Sanders. And by the way, and he says, guy at 2009, consistently good, highest average. No, he's a fantastic. I would love Mike Zimmer here, and especially have his girlfriend on the sidelines. It'd be great for social media. But no, he's in Colorado. He's a Buff. But let me just air some grievances out with the Canes, okay? Finally, Cormani McLean has made his decision. Speaking of the Buffaloes, and Deion and the boys out there have got the NIL stuff going. So Cormani is going to go out there and thank the Lord this is over. But here's what I want you to have fun with, okay? This is what I want you to have fun with, because a buddy of mine, reached out to me yesterday, goes, oh, man, it sucks, dude. Cormani committed to the Buffaloes. And I was like, wasn't that like what was supposed to happen? He goes, yeah, but I was hoping for the Canes, man. That sucks. I'm like, bro, you're a grown man and you're worried about some kid that declares here or not. You officially, can laugh at your friend, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whatever just silly fool is depressed about where Cormani McLean declared to. Like, some of you out there, you really need to get laid, get a life, find a hobby, do something, dude. Any of you that are depressed about a silly-ass high school kid, whether he decides to come here or not, means nothing. If he declares to come here, it means nothing until he actually takes the field and proves something. It's just the same thing with Jake Garcia and all these other guys that commit. And it's just, what was the name of the guy that couldn't pass from Ohio State? Came from Don Bosco in Vegas. Tate Martell, another one. 4 or 5 star. Like Jake was 4 or 5-star. Tate Martell was 4 or 5-star. Is this what we're doing? Like, who cares, dude? Cormani might be great and he might suck. Who knows? All I'm saying is just like stop being pathetic on that end. Seriously, grown men worried about high school recruits. I find that to be sad. Seriously, sad. Like Santana Moss came in with like no hype. Oh no, we'll give this track guy a scholarship. Look what happens. And then you fight for Willie Williams and you talk about him for months and he ends up becoming a total waste of time. You know what I mean? Same thing with Jake Garcia. Oh my God, Jake this, Jake that, whatever, all that. Marsh, who was with us at Onside, he jumped into a pool celebrating about Jake. And it's like, it's like silly. And now you watch Jake and he sucks and now he's got to transfer out. Grown men celebrating or depressed about a high schooler signing with your team or going to somewhere else. You are some of the most silliest individuals I have ever met in my life, to be quite honest. You're getting either excited or disappointed about a kid you've never seen, you've never watched on a consistent basis. You don't know how they'll handle any of the good moments or bad moments. You don't know how they're going to handle the next level. And you're sitting there happy as a clam or depressed and down in the doldrums of whatever it is you want to be in your beer. I mean, seriously, just anybody that is like depressed about Cormani, make fun of them as much as you can. Okay? These kind of people need to be shamed to the point that maybe they will come to their senses. Like, I'm a grown man and I really care about whether some high school punk who's still squeezing his zits, whether he comes here or not. It really is like an embarrassing display of a lack of manhood. Yes.
Real quick before we go to Ira, I know Ira's standing by. Mike Thompson asking, does KSDT assist with filing taxes?
Of course. Yes. Yeah, definitely, man. Reach out to them. 305. Let me see. Let me pull up the number. Do you have it there? Oh, yeah, it's right there. 305-670-3370. And they've got offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The offices in Broward are in Weston, by the way. So you can reach out and you can do it, most of it by phone, usually, I guess, but for your personal or business taxes, call them and tell them that we sent you, man. Hey, listen, you look at it there. They are in the Forbes top 200 accounting firms and tax firms in the country. So all they're doing is growing and growing. They're going to add an office now in North Carolina. They are just continuing to grow, man. It's amazing. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little basketball with my man Ira Winderman.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
All right, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Ira Winderman. How are you doing, sir? Good morning.
I am doing good. Good morning to you and everyone out there in our Acura Pembroke Pines report. I'm doing good. Trying to see if the Heat can close out a 2-1 road trip, keep that momentum going up to number 6 in the Eastern Conference. It's like we knew it would come. We just didn't know when it would come. And for all those who panicked, the Heat just always have a way of making themselves relevant. And we're at that stage again right now.
Yeah, let's hope they can continue. And I think it's because people are kind of finding their roles. Others have kind of elevated their roles, like Bam. I can't say enough about Bam, how he has now imposed his offensive will now, night in and night out. And I think that's incredibly important. And, the good thing is that he's doing it within his own constraints, because we a lot of us, he's got to step outside and be a stretch 5 and all that kind of stuff. And no, he doesn't. Okay, that's not who he is. And maybe eventually he could, develop that shot on a consistent basis, but he's so good everywhere else. from a regular mid-range jump shot to something around the paint to, of course, attacking the rim. So there are so many areas where he can score. And what I like is that he is aggressively finding his spots and really taking over. And I think that that's also made a difference too, because the first third of the season, no, not even that. I would say like the first quarter of the season, there was a lot of inconsistencies and we were kind of waiting for him to kind of take off. But over that last, month or something now, he's really like taking off right now. And it's a different Bam. It's fun to watch.
And credit Erik Spoelstra for also going to Bam. And he had a very good quote after the game the other night when he said, "We can't go more than a couple of possessions without getting the ball to Bam." And it's interesting. When you looked at this team going into the season, you would say it was Jimmy Butler's team, get the ball to Jimmy. Right. You would say Tyler Hero moving in the starting lineup, get the ball to Tyler. And now they've realized their identity is this guy who at one point was viewed as having no offensive game. I mean, you remember the great saw about Dean Smith was the only guy who could stop Michael Jordan from scoring was Dean Smith, the way he played him at Carolina. It's almost now as if the only guy who could keep Bam from scoring was John Calipari, the way he played him at Kentucky. And you get to see, this is what you want when you draft. And Big O, you talk about this a lot with the Dolphins also. You don't want to draft a finished product. You want to draft someone that your scouting department says can grow, can become more down the road. That's what Bam has been. I mean, it's interesting. Erik Spoelstra mentioned this. You could almost consider Bam Adebayo for your most improved player award every year of his growth, because there have been those steps defensively, then offensively, then as a go-to player. We're seeing that. That's what you want out of draft choices. You don't want a guy who stagnates, who you draft him and he is what he is and he won't become much better. Bam's growth has been, almost exponential. And we're seeing that right now. And to Erik Spoelstra's credit, he is feeding the beast.
Yeah, and the other guy is Gabe Vincent, who now, because of what Lowry, he's kind of opened the door for him. And then by opening the door, Gabe has kind of kicked it down. And to kind of ask you in following up, and I was talking about this yesterday, once Oladipo started playing, the key thing that I kept talking to you about is I look at his minutes. I look at his minutes every night to see how many minutes is he playing. Is his body holding up? Okay, if his body holds up, then everything else should start to fall into place. And sure enough, he's played his best basketball now. His body's holding up. So now, is this something I got to start looking at? Because I started to look at it the other night. Gave Vincent 26 minutes, Lowry 22 minutes. And so while one starts and the other one comes off the bench, well, who's the guy that's going to get the more minutes? And I'm wondering, is this something or a sign of things to come here where maybe Gabe Vincent's going to start getting more minutes than Kyle Lowry?
Well, let's be honest. That was Kyle's first game back in 5. He had missed 4. Erik Spoelstra said he's not on a minutes count. We're going to be careful. It was a blowout win, which we never get down here. So Jimmy and Kyle didn't have to play late, so that's a little different. What we're seeing more is, look, at the end game, Erik Spoelstra has already shown us he will play the players who were playing best that night as his final 5. So we have to wait and see. But what we're seeing now, and I wrote it about in the SunSentinel.com today, is with the Heat now getting their lineup back, people are now falling into their roles. The Heat bench had been pretty terrible for a large part of the season, primarily because the bench was also starting. Now look at your bench. You have Victor Oladipo, who's really been producing well. You have Gabe Vincent. You have Max Strus. You now have that perimeter locked in your second unit where you can cycle through other guys because everyone knows their role. We've been waiting all year. Everyone's been looking at the Heat starting lineup and going, oh, they're only 7-8 and they're 15 starts. It's not a great unit, even though they have a very good net rating. No, but it cycles through the roster, through the rotation. Not only are you settling your starting lineup, but you're settling your rotation also. Now you're getting to that 8 deep. You throw a center in there, you're set with your 9 deep. This is what health does for you. This is what you wait for to get everyone, all your ducks lined up in order. That's what they have right now. It'll be interesting as they step up in competition. Dallas tonight with the Mavericks coming off a loss to Atlanta. Then next week, that big Boston national television game. I think that'll be a real litmus test because we saw the Celtics last night against the Warriors. They are a damn good team. But if you remember, December 1st, the game that Jimmy Butler came back in Boston, they had that epic win at TD Garden. The Heat get up for the big games. I'm really curious about that game next week.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a nice litmus test to where they're at, and they're better now. They're deeper. Let me ask you something. The Dedmon situation. Has Dedmon kind of played his way in a role to being a throw-in in some kind of a trade now down the line? 2, has that opened up the door more for Orlando Robinson? And 3, what is the status of Yurtseven?
Yeah, it's interesting. That was one of my Ask Ira questions today. All I can tell you about Omar Yurtseven is this, is he had been tooling around in one of those scooters that you put your knee up as you ride along because his ankle was bad. That's gone. He is now ambulatory. That's good. He's walking. He's wearing this sort of plastic brace that goes from his ankle to his knee. So he's not out of the woods yet. So probably about another month or so, the All-Star break would be a natural sort of next go point for him. It's interesting with all these daily fantasy sites. I'd almost like to see a proposition nightly, will Dwayne Dedmon play? Because since he was suspended that one game for conduct detrimental for the team, he has not played at all in the 3 games since. I'm not so sure he ever plays another game for the Miami Heat. He'll be there. He'll fill out the roster. He'll give them 8 available bodies when they need. But I think what he did crossed the line. I don't think it played well in the locker room. You saw the guys talking on the bench after he stormed off, almost laughing about how angry he got. And now that Orlando Robinson is playing well, the problem is Orlando Robinson only has about 17 or 18 more games on his 2-way contract that he could be in a Heat uniform. The one thing I've always said about Andy Ellisberg and Adam Simon and Pat Riley in their front office, they find a way to make necessary things happen. If they need more Orlando Robinson, they will find a way to convert him to a standard deal. Dwayne Dedmon, from the moment he signed in July, when you and I are out in Vegas in Summer League, was always meant to be a filler in a trade. There's a reason they more than doubled his salary from last season. It gives them that nice sweet spot starting January 15th, this past Sunday, that they could throw him into a deal. So if you're asking me this, Big O, is Dwayne Dedmon more valuable as a player or as a trade piece for the Heat? It clearly is as a trade piece, and maybe always was, especially now that they found someone in Orlando Robinson. And what I'll say about Orlando Robinson is this. He doesn't get in the way. Sometimes that's all you need. When you have that second unit with Oladipo, with Vincent, with Strus, just get out of the way. Offensive rebounds, defend a little, set some screens, use your 5 fouls. Sometimes I think Dwayne Dedmon got in the way because he still wanted to be a factor. He was shooting those 3-pointers. He maybe was forcing the ball a little bit. He was setting the moving screens. It's interesting how that's playing out. If Yurtseven comes around, they are fine at center.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And listen, I love Orlando Robinson's energy too. That's the other thing, that the kid does play hard all the time. So that's why I kind of asked, because I noticed the other night Dedmon was, a pretty strong cheerleader.
Yes, and he has been that, and I'm glad you pointed that out. He is rising on the bench. Look, I think he read the Riot Act. You know, when he said he spoke to Spo and he said he spoke to Pat, going to Pat is like going to the principal's, the dean's office. You know that you're sort of getting a talking to. We doubled your salary. You do what we say. This was part of the agreement, and you go forward from there. So that's a big part of it also. And, you know, again, the 1-game suspension basically is all they could do, or else you get appeals and you have to deal with all that. They made their statement. They're moving forward. They're not making him stay home. They want to make him seem he's a viable guy. I spoke to Kurt Heelan on our RaidRecover.com Inside the Paint show on Wednesday. Maybe a team like the Clippers, desperate for a backup big man, takes a flyer, and you can get something out of him. You know, it was interesting. Even Zach Lowe wrote today in his 10 Things at ESPN, he does every Friday. He said, yeah, the Heat are good enough now to consider trade possibilities because you can see how a little subtle tweak, how one more piece could move them up even a little bit further. They've played themselves into relevancy. And the other thing I'll say to you, Big O, is this. We always talk about the March 1 buyout deadline. When guys come free to finish the season somewhere, we see this in all sports.
Sure.
And I told you, if the Heat weren't good on March 1, no one's going to say, hey, I want to go play in the play-in. No player is taking a buyout from Team A to go to Team B for the play-in. But if the Heat show they're for real, I think that changes things. Then some of those buyout candidates, maybe even Jay Crowder, then say, hey, I could get a playoff run with that team. The Heat's upgrade has come at the right time when it's come to the standings.
Duncan Robinson, what's the usage for Duncan Robinson? What can they do to try to move him? What can they do to try to showcase him? Duncan Robinson, what do you do with that spot?
This is an aggregator's dream, so I'm glad that you get your 60 million downloads so someone can aggregate this next comment I'm going to make. The Miami Heat have to trade Duncan Robinson. And they have to trade him not for any particular Duncan Robinson reason or anything Duncan is in the rotation or not, but for this reason. Max Strus is a free agent after the season, an unrestricted free agent. He has shown us in the last 2 weeks, he got double-digit rebounds the other night.
10
he got
assists
double-digit assists for the first time in his life, he said, on any level in the game on Wednesday night. So he's showing you his versatility, but you cannot have Duncan Robinson on a 5-year, $90 million contract and then also offer something similar to Max Strus. There's too much duplication and overlap. So the Heat almost have to move off Duncan to take care of Max, or else it's going to get really interesting, Big O. If you have to carry the Bam extension, the Hero extension, the Jimmy Butler max deal, maybe one more year of Kyle Lowry, you can't be carrying big money for Duncan.
Oh my God, they might pay luxury tax.
No, you're talking massive payroll instability and inability to do other things. It's going to be interesting to see if they can move off Duncan. I've said it all along. I think it's going to take a sweetener, or maybe it's someone else's bad contract with fewer years. But again, I don't like to get ahead of myself. But the bottom line is this. Max will be a free agent in the offseason. Gabe Vincent will be a free agent in the offseason. Omar Yurtseven will be restricted but a free agent in the offseason. You have to think at the trading deadline about what comes next as well.
Okay. All right. So one more thing I got to ask you before we go. And we always say this is a Miami Heat and NBA segment. So I want to go over the NBA part of this. And I read this story about, the Westbrook situation with the Lakers. And some people are saying, and, one of the things we've talked about here where Riley, lately has done some things over the last few years where he's kind of let the inmates run the asylum. Hey, why don't you draft Shabazz for me? Hey, why don't you go get Kyle Lowry for me? And it's really bit you in the ass by listening to the people that shouldn't be running the team. You know what I mean? In fact, you were pissing LeBron off because you traded Mike Miller, who was, brother, Mike Miller made Humpty Dumpty look like he was all put together with no problem. So Pelinka and Buss, they're saying that pretty much they're refusing to move their future picks to unload Westbrook on somebody else so they can make a move for somebody else. And that's because they listened to LeBron and AD about bringing Russ in, and it didn't fit. It didn't work. They're still a bad team. And, Russ is whatever, playing at least off the bench and all that stuff. So you tell me, what the hell is going on in LA? Do you believe any of this, that Pelinka and Buss are kind of like, no, man, we're not giving up the future now because you guys wanted us to get Russell Westbrook? And again, it kind of reminds me of the situation with Riley and Jimmy Butler kind of screwed himself by wanting his best friend on the team.
I don't believe that for this reason. If that's the reason and they really had some angst with LeBron, then they would just trade LeBron. He can't be traded this season because of extension. He can be traded in the offseason. Maybe that's the way they go. But when you go and deal with a superstar, especially in the NBA where only 5 players play at a time, you are all in or you're not at all. So you might say what the Heat did with Jimmy Butler, bringing in his friend Kyle Lowry, was wrong. That's life with a superstar in the NBA. Remember, Jimmy had his extension deadline, didn't. With the Lakers, when you bring LeBron in, you either go all in or not at all. That's the way it is in the NBA these days. Look at Kevin Durant. He wanted James Harden, then he didn't want James Harden. He wanted Kyrie, then he was worried about Kyrie. The NBA is a deal with the devil league. If you get one of those top 5, top 10 players, you were all in with them. So for Rob Pelinka or Jeannie Buss to say now, oh, LeBron led us astray. No, you picked up LeBron and you agreed to go astray because that's what you do with an elite talent in the NBA. This isn't the NFL where we have 22 starters. This isn't MLB where you have 9 or 10 starters with the DH. This is a league where one player makes that much difference. You capitulate, just like the Bulls did to Michael Jordan to torment Jerry Krause. That's what happens over the years. So the Lakers went all in on LeBron, as they should have. The Cavaliers went all in with LeBron and made some good moves. They traded the draft rights for Wiggins for Kevin Love. They surrounded LeBron with quality talent. It worked there. The Miami Heat did the same thing. LeBron wanted a shot blocker, Chris Anderson. LeBron wanted a shooter, Ray Allen. LeBron wanted a defender after they lost in Dallas.
Yeah, but he didn't specifically say go get Ray Allen. They went and got Ray Allen.
But he
didn't specifically say Chris Bird.
Okay.
They went and out.
Okay. But what he did is
specifically said Lowry and specifically wanted Shabazz Napier.
But what LeBron did is he pulled aside Orlando Alzagari in the locker room and say we could use another defender. He made it known. That's what you do with superstars in the NBA. What Jimmy Butler wants, Jimmy Butler gets, because Pat Riley understands. This isn't the Showtime Lakers. This isn't the Knicks where he's suspending Anthony Mason. It's a different time and a different era, and old people like you and I have to just agree that times have changed in the NBA. The stars do run the asylum. Why? It's a star-driven league.
Oh, you can make a suggestion. Okay, good. Now go back to the court, go back to the field. We'll go find the player. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem.
But it does not work that way, because then players sit out games, then players brood, and then you get into ugly situations where you have to tell players to stay away. The John Wall situation, situations like that. That, unfortunately, is where it goes in this league.
Heat are favored by 1.5 tonight. Do you know that?
Well, Christian Wood is out. He hurt his thumb the other day. I got to tell you, Dallas is an all-or-nothing team. When their supporting players play well, and Tim Hardaway Jr. always seems to kill the Heat. When their supporting players play well, they're very good. But once they let Jalen Brunson go, Mark Cuban basketball savant, there's not a lot of support there for Luka Doncic. And the one thing about Eric Spoelstra, if you give him a day to game plan, this is not a back-to-back. I guarantee you, Eric Spoelstra and his support staff are all sitting there in Dallas, putting together their quote-unquote Jeremy Lin plan. How do we stop one guy? You'll see Caleb on him. You'll see Bam on him. You'll see Jimmy on him. You might see double teams. I trust Eric Spoelstra to strategize against this singular superstar. He has done it every stage of his career. I'm really curious to see what Eric Spoelstra comes up tonight with. 7:30 ESPN, Bally Sports Sun against the Mavericks.
Christian Wood, is that a player the Heat could have had?
Well, you talk about the machinations this offseason and what they did or what they didn't do and what they did or didn't offer. He was an interesting name. They were interested. Dallas was able to outbid them with what they offered to Houston, but it would have been a very curious name, and that's why you're hearing the Heat linked to all these power forwards. So one that got away. Hey, when he was in Detroit, I thought he was just a numbers guy, but he still hasn't taken that next step. He's been good in Dallas this year, but he hasn't necessarily been great. Look, Caleb Martin's been pretty good. Let that kid return to health. And
but he's not a real power forward, whereas Christian Wood is a real power forward.
I agree, and you need to get that. February 9th, I think the week of February 9th, I'll be on every day with you, whether it's an Acura Pembroke Pines report or RedRecover.com Inside the Paint. I think the Heat will be very active looking at every single name that Orlando Alzagari mentions.
I would have liked Christian Wood in a Heat uniform. That would have been actually pretty nice. All right, when are you working the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friends?
Today I wrote a story about the Heat starting lineup, only 15 games together, but it makes the whole team better, so I investigated that. I also wrote in my Ask Ira how when the whole roster is together, all of a sudden the bench is pretty good, as we mentioned here. So I'm looking into that, and I'll have Sunday coverage. I'm going to do a story on Max Strus and how this guy has been asked to start, come off the bench, be a power forward, small forward, shooting guard. And he really has been the jack of all trades that in many ways has been the glue to holding the season together. So that'll be on your doorstep on Sunday.
And follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And you can catch him again on Monday, my Heat and NBA Report. And then on Wednesday with, of course, our Red Recover Inside the Paint show. Ira, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Back here Monday, selling more cars. Thanks, Big O.
Have a great weekend, my friend. There you go. Ira Winderman. Should be fun tonight. I'll be watching the Heat and the Mavs tonight, man. Hails to the
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA Report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
All right. There we go. Appreciate all of you out there as always. Don't forget Welt and Rayom, a proud sponsor of our program. We love talking about Welt and Rayom. They are in Hollywood. They service anybody here in South Florida. They've got an office in the Keys also. So if you are dealing with any kind of issues, let's say bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, we've got all kinds of stuff that happens here in South Florida. Condo damage, maybe you got some water damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury, got in some kind of a car accident. Before you call the insurance company, because all their adjusters work for them, not for you. You call Welton Rayom. Really easy number. Save it on the cell phone. Maybe you don't need a lawyer right now, but maybe you need one a week from now, a month from now, 6 months. I hope you never need one. But if you do, please call them 954-966-4646. That's what it's all about, folks. When you need it, you never know what's going to happen. Condo damage. Somebody's pipe broke on the other side of the other condo where you're at, and it went into yours. And then all of a sudden, where do you stand now? How are you protected? Because the building and their insurance companies are going to be looking out for them, not for you. They're going to try to do everything on the cheap. I know, because I just experienced it. Welton Rayom brought Progressive Insurance to their knees. Okay? They were trying to completely rip us off in what we needed to repair our home, and these guys got what we needed. And that's what it's all about, folks, because the insurance companies, all they want is your premium. All they want is to give you as least as possible to get by. Sometimes they don't even do enough to repair what was originally there. So you got to call Welton Rayom, 954-966-4646, or save it on that cell phone for a rainy day that might cause some water damage. 954-966-4646. All right, good stuff there. We thank Ira Winderman. Heat, by the way, are favored by 1.5 tonight. The over and under is 218. Heat are minus 120 on the money line. The Mavs are plus 100. And I would imagine, at the way the Heat are playing right now and the Christian Wood injury, looks like that's the way it's kind of swung right now. So props to them. Props to the Panthers last night. They beat the Canadians, man. I got to say. And, we like to point out MVPs on performances. And there's one guy. Look, while the Panther season has kind of been disappointing, I do have a Cutter's Edge MVP that I want to talk about. Let's fire away, Sean Stanley.
Who's last night's MVP? For your complete landscape solutions anywhere in South Florida, there's only one MVP. CuttersEdgePro.com. Here's our CuttersEdgePro.com MVP of the night.
For me, he's not just an MVP because last night he had 2 goals. But, he's also an all-star. And the Panther season at 22-20-5 is not anything that we expected. We wanted a much better team. We wanted something that was going to be even better than last year's team. And we were hoping that Paul Maurice would bring the balance by improving the defense. But they've lost so much firepower. They're not the same team, although yesterday they were able to produce 6 goals against the Canadians. And Matthew Tkachuk has had 2 goals. Now, on the season, the man has 24 goals, 34 assists, a total of 58 points already on the season. He has been the outstanding signing that they were looking for, the guy that they needed. The problem is everything else has kind of fallen by the hell. Yesterday they used the Alex Lyon kid between the pipes. Wasn't even Bob. And the kid played well. He had 23 saves yesterday. But for me, Tkachuk has been an absolute stud. And he's been the star that they needed. They've got to find a way where everybody else kind of picks it up, including the coach, Paul Maurice. But in my eyes, there is no doubt that Matthew Tkachuk is the CuttersEdgePro.com MVP of the night.
The MVP of the night is brought to you by CuttersEdgePro.com. Servicing HOAs, condominiums, townhomes, commercial properties, corporate parks, and malls throughout South Florida. CuttersEdgePro.com. Providing South Florida MVP performance every day of the year.
All right, there we go. Big O, Andy Dalton is a terrible idea. The dude has bad juju. He's perfect for a backup. I don't know what you're talking about. Who are you going to bring as a backup? I don't know why that came up, but whatever. Because I just look at the chat board now and I see Yang saying Andy Dalton's a terrific idea as a backup. Minshew, Dalton, Taylor Henneke, even Joe Flacco, there's a bunch of guys there that you could get that are pretty good backups. You're not going to get a starter to sit there behind, you know, who are you going to get, John? Who's going to be your backup? Tell me. Who are you going to get as a backup? Tell me. Because for me, Minshew's my number 1, Dalton's my 2, and Taylor Heinicke's my 3. I would go with those 3 guys as backups. I don't mind Joe Flacco, but he's a little older. But I like the other 3 guys as backups to Tua. And I don't think either will be creating any kind of waves or anything like that. So who are you going to get as a backup? Who is it? Because if you're going to say it's a bad idea, what's the better idea as a backup? You know? Knight says, you realize that with Tua, Waddle, and Hill set career numbers this year, Reek only had 8 more catches for 400 yards. Are you saying Mike is better than Andy Reid? I don't know what. This is another conversation, I guess. All right, we got Manny Navarro ready to go. Let's get to our number 2 of the program, and we will start with Manny Navarro and our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slowens, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
Alrighty, there he is, the man, the myth, the legend that is Manny Navarro. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Feeling great, just another beautiful day in South Florida.
Yes, sir. It is. It is a beautiful day in South Florida. By the way, hell of a move by Mike Norvell. I know that we're, it's a Canes report, but the Pat Surtain move where he leaves the Dolphins and he goes to become the secondary coach now for FSU. Plus, they get themselves a recruiter, too, here in South Florida. So Mike Norvell, man, making some moves.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's done a good job working the transfer portal and getting FSU back to respectability, right? A 10-win season.
Yeah, man.
You have to get some good recruiters in South Florida to keep picking up guys down here. They did a good job getting Hakeem Williams, a 5-star receiver out of Fort Lauderdale-Stranahan in this last cycle, and getting a Pat Surtain is only going to help you in terms of getting more guys from this area, because he's obviously familiar with the players here. They're familiar with him, having coached at Plantation American Heritage for as long as he did. And I think a lot of guys like Pat Surtain, and they look up to him, and he's a recognizable name in terms of the NFL and what he's done in this city.
Yeah, and I got to say that when you look at that situation, he's also got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback going into next year. That's going to be a lot of great PR for him. Travis goes and has a hell of a year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Florida State is really putting all of its energy into this upcoming season. You know, the way that they've recruited, they've kind of gone low on the numbers for the high school kids and heavy on the transfer portal kids, which sets them up well for this coming season in 23. Right. But 2024 is going to be really, really interesting, because they got a lot of guys who are going to be leaving after 23. And so, does Florida State take a huge step back in 24 because of all the kids that are going to be leaving, all the seniors, all the NFL guys potentially off this roster? It's not like the old days when Miami and Florida State were so deep that they could beat Georgia and Alabama. It's kind of like he's put all of his energy into this 23 season, and they're going to need.
That's understandable.
That's
understandable.
Right, but I guess
you got the quarterback right now, you got a shot. And if you even win a national championship, or you're in the mix, or you're in the playoffs, and you take a step back the following year, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's an understandable thing.
Correct.
And everybody will say, well, hey, I want to go back there to go reload with them. And, that's what people say.
That's what my point is. I think they're putting all their energy into having a great season this year, and that'll parlay into 24 and 25 and 26 with more guys wanting to jump back into the boat with FSU. But it's a risk. It's kind of a roll of the dice, right? You go heavy transfer portal, you better win. You better get the results if you want the high school kids to buy in. And I think more of the high school kids are buying in, but I also think they need to have a really good 2024 recruiting class.
A buddy of mine called me, and I don't know why he did this, because he knows me. He knows that I'm going to rip into him. And so, and I told him, don't you also listen to our platform? Like we've been telling you, he wasn't coming here.
Yeah.
So he goes, oh, dude, Cormani went to Colorado. And I go, bro, he was going to Colorado already. That was kind of like the thing at the point. And it's like, oh, man. I'm like, really, dude? You're depressed about a high school kid you've never seen in your life? Like, bro, get a life or something. What's wrong with you? Like, chill out.
Well, I wish you would have been subscribed to The Athletic. I read my column on signing day when I said, hey, just because Cormani McLean is not coming and is a part of this class, not a part of this class from Miami, you don't crap on the class that Mario put together. It's still a very good recruiting class. And as I mentioned, they can get guys in the transfer portal to fill his spot. It sucks. You compete hard for these 5-star guys, but sometimes you're going to lose. You're not going to get them all. And Mario, look, he signed 2 5-star offensive linemen. I think you got to be happy with how Miami's class turned out. And it sucks. Good victory for Deion Sanders. He needs a lot of them over there in Colorado. If you look at that roster, it's very inviting for guys who want to come in and play right away. And I think for Cormani, he's a guy who I've said on this show, he's going to need to put on some weight. He's very thin-legged. a guy who, in my mind, still needs to be coached up. I don't know that he necessarily plays the game the way you need to for the next level. He takes a lot of chances trying to bait quarterbacks to throw interceptions, and I think that's something you can't do when you're playing against better competition.
I'm with you there. I just glanced at the chat board now, and some guy named Vince Carlos, and he has two. You can block Vince Carlos, by the way. He said I was a Paxton Lynch guy. See, the difference is on this platform, if you're spewing misinformation,
you get blocked.
You will pay a price.
Yes.
I was never a Paxton Lynch guy, ever.
Ever, yeah.
Ever. Okay? Now, you want to pick on me for Brock Osweiler, that I wanted him in the 3rd round? Go ahead. Kill me for that. I'm good. I'll take the punishment for that. But I was never a Paxton Lynch guy. And so now you're gone. So go get another email if you want to get on the chat board. And then don't say something stupid or misinformed. Anyway, I mean, seriously, like if I glance at the chat board and you're actually saying something that's wrong or stupid or whatever, I don't need you to be on the chat board anymore at that point. Why am I going to have a stupid ass troll on there? So, and by the way, Vince Carlos, that's your name? They gave you 2 first names? Pobrecito.
I've never heard of that even in Spanish. Vicente Carlos? I've never heard that one.
Yeah, like what are you, a mariachi guy or something? Or what's the deal? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, go ahead. Here we go.
Save your brain cells. Stupid chat. Stupid chat. Stupid chat.
Wow.
That's it. You get a stupid chat. There you go. So anyway, it is what it is. So we got the whole Cormani mess now, obviously solved overall. What do you think about dude? He got Mike Zimmer to be his defensive coordinator. He's doing some things there. They obviously gave him a budget over there at Colorado. Who's behind all the NIL stuff? Because obviously they had to pay Cormani and a couple of the other guys over.
Well, I mean, that's what you get with Dion, right? He's, I think, between Barstool and Amazon Prime and some of the other deals that have been done here with some of his players at Jackson State. I think, that's where a lot of the money is coming from. He's a media magnet. And I think for Cormani McClain in particular, I know his mom told me back in March when I drove up to Lakeland to go meet with him when Mario Cristobal was giving a speech at his old high school. His mom told me that night, we're doing a documentary. So I think all along, this was sort of a marriage that you knew was sort of headed towards one another, because if that's what mom wants, right? She wants to build a documentary. That's not going to happen with Mario Cristobal. That's going to happen with Deion Sanders and Amazon Prime. And that's really the way I think this was trending.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I have no problem with that. All right, what's next for the Canes? What are you hearing? Let's start with the coaching side.
Well, I mean, I think the expectation is that Josh Gattis probably will not be the offensive coordinator this coming season. Still waiting for finality with that in terms of Mario and Gattis moving on and making it official. But, Gattis wasn't in the building for last weekend for a lot of the recruiting visits. I work with Bruce Feldman, who's very well tapped into the coaching scene here at The Athletic. We've had many conversations on this topic. I think this is a matter of sort of finality. They have to reach that finality, right? And say, okay, this is it. This is where I'm going. This is where I'm leaving. Because as I've said many times on this show, Mario does not like to fire people. I don't know if you go back to his Oregon history, you go back to his days at FIU, there's more guys leaving than it is firing. Because I think, again, I've tried to stress this on the show many times. When you fire a guy, it makes you look bad because you hired him, right? So it's always better. It's always better to have them leave and make it look like it's that sort of a story.
And it looks better for the person leaving too, that they left and that they didn't get fired.
Correct. And so I think ultimately, I have it on very high authority that changes will be happening in the offensive side of the ball. I don't know about defense. We'll see if there's any changes on that side, but I've said it consistently every time I've been on your show. I'm expecting it. And I always tell you, #slow drip. That's the way things operate.
I only had a problem with Gattis. That's the only guy I had a problem with, that I just didn't think, in a way, by the way, that's some of the things that have pissed me off about Mike McDaniel, that like, okay, dude, why did you give Gesicki the tag then?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to give the tag and then you're going to say, oh no, he's not my guy. Like, you didn't know he couldn't block, or like we all knew he couldn't block. So what? 70% of the tight ends in the NFL don't block. But dude, he's a great pass catcher and a route runner and a stupendous athlete with body control in the air. You can't use that. And so these are the things that piss me off, because there are times that your offense, you're not going to be handed what you need. Okay, well then let me make do with what I got. Listen, we all can use the, hey, I watched Don Shula with Woodstock, and then I saw him with Greasy, and I saw him with Marino. But okay, here's Sperano, stuck with an offense, and I don't know what the hell to do. And here's his assistant coach. Hey, why don't we try this thing called the Wildcat? Okay, he tried something, and he tried to change things up. And I think as a coach, you have to sometimes work with what you have and make the best of it. And I thought Gaddis did a very poor job of adjusting to the talent that he inherited. And that didn't show me a great coach, because a great coach says, okay, I don't have my stuff right now. I don't have my ingredients. I can still cook. I can still make a meal with this right now. Let me make a meal with this at this moment. And that's where Gaddis lost me, last season, in that sense, that he forced the square peg into the round hole instead of finding, okay, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Let me make sure I don't expose you, and let me put you in a place to succeed. That's the coach's job.
Right. And I think, something to be noted as far as history is concerned, I know Gaddis was not Mario's first, second, or third choice. He went, as you go through this process of interviewing a bunch of guys, which Mario does, and maybe this is a fault of his that he takes too long in making these decisions. But they're guys who want answers quickly, and if you don't give them an answer quickly, they move on to the next thing. Josh Gaddis and him sort of seemed like the perfect marriage at the time, because he was a Broyles Award winner. He was coming off of a great season at Michigan. He liked to run the football. Mario wanted to run the football. And the problem was Miami didn't have Michigan's offensive line or their running backs.
Right.
And that's a problem when that's the choice that you make. And so, look, I'm not absolving.
That's Jimmy Johnson. He gets here and he says, well, I have Marino and I have Byers and Kirby and Irving Frost. Oh, no, let me get rid of all of that. Let me take away the audibles from Marino, and let me try to run the Dallas offense with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I don't have the Dallas line. Wait a minute, Jimmy. You should have kept what you had. Mm-hmm. And that went, and Jimmy did the same thing here. As great as he was on defense, finding Taylor and Zach and Sam and Pat, he was that shitty on offense. That's what people don't actually talk enough about, that he was a disaster on offense because he forced the square peg into the round hole instead of, okay, this is what I've inherited. All right, I got that. Let me straighten out the defense and we'll be all right. Instead, he set back the offense at the same time.
Oh, there. Very rarely do you find the perfect head coach. Everybody has their faults, right? Somebody's just not good at evaluating talent, but maybe they're a great strategist and they know how to hire the right people.
Amen.
I think with Mario, I think his strength, we've talked about it ad nauseum. It's recruiting. He's a really good recruiter, but go back and look at his hiring history at Oregon and the success and failures that they had there. Didn't always have the best coordinators, didn't always have the best guys calling plays for him. There were plenty of head scratching moments for Oregon guys. Yeah. I looked at Mario when he got hired here as a Jimmy Johnson. In other words, he's a great recruiter, and his strength is offensive line. He's going to make the offensive line better. Jimmy Wright was a defensive coach coming up the ranks. He made Miami's defense unbelievable, recruited a bunch of talented super guys, and then he left for the NFL. And Erickson came in with his offensive mind. It's just, there's always going to be strengths and weaknesses with head coaches, and ultimately the best head coaches are the guys who find the best coordinators and assistants, because they've got to do their job and do it the right way. And I think that's what's going to be interesting here about Mario moving forward. Does he hire the right fits for this program going forward? Does he run the right kind of offense? Does he tailor it to the personnel that he has? As much as he wants to run the football, let's face it, Tyler Van Dyke is not a running quarterback, and he didn't have healthy running backs. He didn't have a good offensive line. He couldn't run the offense that him and Gaddis wanted to run. They should have adapted. That didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I thought Mario did a bad job in running the offense he had with Herbert. I saw him running more than passing at times, and I'm like, what the hell is this, bro? What? And then he gets to the Chargers, and then they're throwing the ball all over the place, and so that's what you got to do with the kid. Hell, in this last game when they lost a 27-point lead, he even refused to run. He only had like 12 yards in the game, and he had plenty of opportunities to keep drives alive by running and things like that. Mario has, you're right. That's going to be a threshold that he's going to need to cross. If you're going to be a championship caliber team, it's not so much the recruiting and so much about the offensive line. You better have the right assistant coaches to get that stuff done. And so far with Gaddis, that was definitely not the right one. That's for sure.
No, and I would say this. Again, I'm not criticizing the hire by Miami's part. First, you need a guy who wants to be here, right, and understands the landscape, and then can recruit. I think his base principles fit what Miami needed very much. They needed an upgrade in talent. They needed to recruit like Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and have top 5, top 6 ranked recruiting classes like they have now. He's done that in year 1. Now he's got to show me he can hire the right assistant coaches and run the right kind of offense to make this thing successful. Because you got to score points in today's game. I mean, just look at all of the best teams in college football. They're putting up 30, 40 points a game. And to finish with 19 points per game against FBS opponents, the 11 times you played an FBS team, that's not good.
No, it's terrible. It's pathetic. All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, we came out with our recruiting confidential for the ACC with a two-parter. It's out already this week. I'm working on a couple different stories moving forward. One of them is on an elite 2024 quarterback. His name's Julian Sayin. He's playing for Team Raw, which is based here out of Miami, 7-on-7 team. This weekend there's a big tournament, Battle Miami. There's hundreds of top-notch recruits from across the country and the city this weekend to play in that tournament, and many of them are going to be at the University of Miami here over the weekend doing sort of a junior day type of event there on campus. So there'll be a lot of kids.
But isn't that guy lost right now in a California mountain, Julian Sands?
No, it's the wrong Julian. Julian Sayin. He is from California, though. He's a quarterback.
He's from California. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Carlsbad, California.
You sure it's not Julian Sands? Because, unfortunately, that man went hiking in the mountains.
Julian Sayin, S-A-Y-N.
It's called. Does he live by Baldy Mountain or something? What's going on?
That's not him. Oh, but he is. He's committed to Alabama, and I know he's a guy that Miami is very interested in trying to flip to come here.
All right. I do hope they find Julian Sands. That's some scary shit. Holy crap! I saw that story, and it was like, the man's been out there since last Friday.
Wow.
It's now a week. And there's another hiker in that mountain that they can't find also.
I don't know about you. My wife actually likes hiking. When we were in Texas about 10 or 12 years ago, she wanted to go hiking out. And I said to her, look, we're not outdoors people. I don't understand where all this desire to go hiking is coming from. And we were out there for about an hour. We got lost. I started to panic. My cell phone wasn't working. I am not the kind of guy, to end up in the middle. I don't know about you. Are you a mountain man?
No. Want nothing to do with hiking. No.
I don't understand. I mean, I guess some people love being out in nature, but between snakes, spiders, and grizzly bears, it's not for me, brother.
I'm good. I can see it all on YouTube instead.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's all. Show us the wilderness of the mountains. Sure, there you go. The deepest I go is when I go to Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's the wildest ride in the wilderness. That's about it. That's the
limit for you.
That's my limit right there. All right, follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro, and of course subscribe to The Athletic and support him and all the great writers that cover all sports locally and nationally there for The Athletic. Manny, as always, have a great weekend, my friend. We'll catch up on Tuesday.
You too. Take care.
Thank you, sir. There you go, Manny Navarro. So the Canes are actually recruiting a guy that might be lost in a mountain. It's kind of crazy. And by the way, if you do order at Canes, where they've got anything and everything with the Canes logo on it, if you order over $99, you will get free shipping. And they've got Dolphins gear, Heat gear, Marlins gear, Panthers gear, Inter Miami gear. So they've got all kinds of gear. By the way, they've got a lot of stuff on sale right now, a lot of clearance stuff going on, off-season football, some of the stuff from last year from Inter Miami. They've got a lot of stuff on sale. And by the way, the new shoes they've got, the new Adidas sneakers from the Canes, awesome. You got to go check it out. Go online. You can order them, and they ship right away. You will get it quickly, baby. Caneswear.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at Caneswear.com or InnerMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Dolphin 13 says, I can't see and watch the wilderness from my TV and all the documentaries. I'm not going with no skills into a desert or jungle. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm not Mr. Outdoorsman and all that shit. Hell no, dude. No way. Brian says, stick to the trails and bring your bear spray. Yeah, no. It's all right, bro. I ain't bringing no bear spray because I ain't going. All right. I didn't lose shit in that mountain. I didn't lose squat in that forest. I am not going in there. Okay. You want me to go to the jungle? I'll go to Animal Kingdom. What is it? The Nairobi whatever cruise or whatever. You get into that truck and they're like, hey, there's the giraffes and there's the orangutans, and there's the lions, and where they belong, a distance and a wall in between us. Yeah, that's where they belong. Yeah, damn right. Yeah, the Miami Zoo, exactly. I love the Miami Zoo. That's fantastic. Magic Matt says, shout out to Big O from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Thank you, sir. I love Hershey, Pennsylvania. I went to the what's it called? Is it called Hershey? What's it called? The amusement. Well, the Hershey factory's next to it, but what's the name of the amusement park that's there? It's not called Hershey. It's called something else. But I went to it. It's got the water park next to it. I took the tour and all that of the factory. It is called Hershey Park. Okay, then there you go. Hershey Park. There you go. Then yes, I went to Hershey Park. I still have, that's it. I still have the little Hershey pillows that I bought that are like beanie pillows. I still have those.
That would have been the original poop emojis almost.
Yes. Yeah, basically. Yeah, they are. Yep. You want the real wilderness? Come to the Panhandle. Well, I'll be there. I'll be there in a little over 10 days, right? I'll be there for the Senior Bowl. Dude, no concerts. I have the worst luck. I think in the 20-something years that I've been going, one time, which, it was in Pensacola. I went to go see Steve Harris's band. And that's about it. Well, there was one year that Billy Idol was at the House of Blues. That's it. But again, no good concerts in Mobile, no good concerts in Biloxi, no good concerts in New Orleans, no good concerts in Pensacola while I'm there for the Senior Bowl for a couple of days. Now, when I leave, there's a couple of concerts. Every single time, dude. Every time when I leave the Senior Bowl and I'm going home, I always look at the concert calendar and I go, oh, there's a good concert, but it's 3 days after I left. It's 5 days after I left. Damn it. That kind of stuff. So, yeah, no concerts. Sucks. Always love catching a concert if I can on the road. Lofi says, I went hunting in Finland with an axe and chased a moose around. I can't catch one. The one with the horns thought about running me over, but he ran. I would not be chasing any kind of moose. With axe or no axe. I am not chasing any moose. I'm going to lose that fight if I just slip up and then he just stomps your ass. If I'm going to buy Miami Dolphins memorabilia, who is worthy of a name on that team that I can buy that is worthy? Well, I would go with Javon Holland. That's it. Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips. I like those. Christian Wilkins. Just wait till they re-sign him. Just wait. They're going to re-sign him. I really believe they're going to re-sign him. You know what I mean? But all those guys are, definitely. Big O, since we're talking about Pennsylvania, have you ever been to the Amish country? No, I have not. I have not been to the Amish country. I've been to Hershey. I've been to Philly and Pittsburgh. Okay. Now, Pittsburgh, very short time in and out. I didn't get to really hang out in Pittsburgh, so I didn't really get to enjoy Pittsburgh. But Philly, I've been to 1,000 times, all over the place. And every old stadium. I haven't been to any of the new stadiums or arenas in Philly. I went to was it the Forum? I think it was, in the Spectrum. The Spectrum was the Sixers and the Flyers, and I went to Veterans Stadium for the Phillies. But I've never been to the, what is it? I don't know what the football stadium is called now or whatever. Lincoln Financial, that's it. There you go. Aren't they the ones that own 790? Lincoln Financial? Wasn't it? Oh, it was, yes. Yeah. Old owners, right? Yeah, they sold. Right. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. Tyreek Hill jersey. That's a good one. That one's a good one. But I got to tell you something. I like kind of getting the guy you drafted that is staying there with you. You know? And that's why Javon Holland and Jalen Phillips and Christian Wilkins are ones that I really like. Because you drafted them, they're your guys right from the get-go, and you hope that those are guys that are just going to grow old with your team. You know what I'm saying? And I get that feeling that Javon Holland is a guy that you'll never, ever release, you know? By the way, EJD Construction, a proud sponsor of our program, 305-433-4843. We love talking about Eric. And listen, folks, if you need some work, okay, here in South Florida, maybe you're looking Dade and Broward, by the way, not Palm Beach. Okay, but Dade and Broward counties, if you're looking to, build an entire second floor, build an observation deck like one of our listeners did. That is such a cool idea, bro. Yeah, every time I see that picture, I love that. I tell my wife, this is an idea right there. You build an observation deck, a little roof, you get to hang out, it's pretty cool. But anyway, whatever you want to do, you want to build out, like one of our listeners built out an entire hut in the back that had a full kitchen and barbecue and grease trap and everything. I mean, really, and just nasty stuff. We're talking about custom home construction, major home remodeling. Another one of our listeners had a fire and they needed to remediate the entire home. So they gut the entire home to then obviously redo the inside. EJD can do that also. Like I said, full contractor, man. So they do it all. Shell construction in-house. That's how they keep the cost down. Call Eric. This is his personal cell number, 305-433-4843. Go to the website, ejdconstruction.com. Check it out on Instagram so you can see a lot of the before and after pictures. ejdconstruction.com. It's a beautiful thing. All right. What else do we have going on? Tua Time sends in a super chat. Big O, who's winning this weekend? Jags, Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Cowboys, Niners, Eagles, Giants. All right. Well, let's go. Chiefs are favored by 8.5 over the Jags. Over and under's 53. I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm laying the 8.5 here in this one. I like what the Jags have done. Here's where they run out of gas and they won't have enough. I think the Chiefs win by 10. I'm laying the 8.5 for the Jags on the road. This will be this is one of those kind of games I can't wait for the Dolphins one day to be in that position where they're going to Kansas City for a game like that. 8:15 tomorrow, Giants and Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 7.5. The Giants are over and under 48. Giants are plus 290 on the money line. Eagles are minus 350 on the money line. The Giants have had a phenomenal season. I don't think they're as good as their record or where they're at. It just tells you how good Brian Daboll has done. I mean, the job that he has done has been absolutely phenomenal overall. I like the Eagles in this game. I'm going to go with the over in this game. Over 48 points. Okay. I like the Eagles to win. I'm going over 48. Those are my selections on Saturday. Sunday, Bengals at Bills. And the Bills are favored by 5.5. The Bengals over and under, it's 48.5. The Bengals are plus 215 on the money line. Bills are minus 255. I'm taking the Bengals on the road here in Buffalo. The Bills make a lot of mistakes. I think the Bengals can keep it close. So I'm going to go Bengals plus 5.5 here in this one. And the Bengals win. So upset city here. Bengals win. Bills make too many mistakes on offense. Bengals capitalize. Take the 5.5, and I'm taking the Bengals. Maybe even the money line, plus 215. There we go. Remember, I am not a gambling expert, just a guy that loves sports. Just like I'm not a financial advisor, just a guy that loves crypto. By the way, Bitcoin holding strong at 21,000. Sunday, 6:30, the Cowgirls are at the 49ers. The Niners are favored by 4. I am going Cowboys plus 4. That's a vicious defense, just like the Niners. I expect Dak Prescott to handle the defense better than Brock Purdy. I'm going Cowboys plus 4 here against the 49ers. I think the Niners win this game, but I think they eke one out, and I think the Cowboys actually keep it close. Cowboys are plus 170 on the money line. Niners are minus 200. Going Niners to win, but I'm going to take the plus 4 with the Cowboys. There you go. Those are my picks, and I'm sticking to it this weekend, baby. You definitely need a grease trap for the pig roast. Yeah, that's what he has. Actually, it's pretty cool you mentioned that because it's kind of like a thing that they do to do some roasting and some barbecuing and then in the regular oven. I mean, it was really cool the way he built the grease trap and everything. It's just absolutely awesome. Smart too. Clean also. Really helps you maintain. You know, I think that's actually really, really cool. Yeah, over 21,200 right now, Bitcoin, man. Holding strong. Strong. H-bar, man, continues. It had a good day yesterday, and now it's up 8% today. Hedera hash graph is, that's one of my plays. I love. ApeCoin up almost 8% today. I like it. Algo up almost 5. No, a little over 5. I'm sorry. So got some stuff is moving and grooving. I like it. The Dow is up 138 points. The S&P is up 35. All right. Not bad. What else do we have? I wonder what's you know what? I have not. Let me look at Tesla. What happened has Tesla continued its climb? Yes, it's up to 130. So those of you that got it down in the 106, 109 range, good for you, man. Good for you. Smart. I know if I had the kind of money, I would have bought a bunch of Tesla if I could. That's for sure. All right. What else do we got going on? Big O, Tua is the face of concussions now. As a GM, you field Tua. We one concussion away from a stain on our franchise. Lofi, I don't go for that stupid bullshit. To me, that's some silly ass shit. Was he concussed the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that? It's 1 year of concussions. That doesn't mean that that's something that's going to be his game. It was all injuries, right? And there were no injuries this year. No broken ribs, no broken finger, no broken rib, no hip, no ankle injuries. Then what? I thought he was all injury prone. So now he's concussion prone. Whatever, man. It just, again, none of you have an answer. Lofi, you want Lamar Jackson, somebody that can't win in the playoffs and can't pass. And not only that, you want to be stupid enough to give up a couple of picks and a major salary and guaranteed when he's missed 10 games in the last 2 years. Is he available for the playoffs? Oh, no, he wasn't this time around. So Lamar Jackson's injury prone. Why do you want him, Lofi? All he's going to do is get more and more injured because he has to run. He can't pass. He can't live from the pocket. So if he can't live from the pocket, then, well, what's up, Lofi? I mean, you're such a Lamar Jackson lover, a Lamar Jackson choker. I mean, the guy does nothing in the playoffs. He pisses in his pants every time in the playoffs. But you want him. So what can I tell you? You think a guy's concussion prone? I think a guy can't win anyways, because you can't win like that. Running quarterbacks don't win unless they know how to pass. Unfortunately, Lamar Jackson is one of the more poor passers in the league. But hey, you can fall in love with the numbers. I'll look at what happens in a game. What happened? By the way, Lofi, what happened against Tua? How come he always loses to Tua? Why can't Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson can't beat Tua with a shitty team 2 years ago. And then this year he had a 21-point lead. The defense shut his ass down. Tua kept throwing touchdowns and touchdowns and touchdowns and won the game, Lofi. So the concussed guy kicked the guy's ass that can't pass. What's the answer on that one, Lofi? Right. So, and by the way, Lofi, if you want to show me any balls, well, one, you would actually have your face and a real name and all that. But besides that, Bevel staying for Lamar. Come on down to Hialeah Park. I'm there every Thursday. Bring all the money you got. $5, 5,000, 50,000. We'll bet. We'll bet that Lamar is not going to be here. Let's do it. If you're that bold, right? I'm bold. I'll bet that Lamar is not coming here. Bring the money. Bring the money. Let's go. Bring the money. That's how I always shut all of you down because, you're all talk. But then when I challenge you, there's nothing there. So bring the money. Let's go. If you're that confident, I'm confident he's not coming. If you're that confident, bring the money or bring the tokens. Bring the Bitcoin. Bring it. Let's go. We'll lock it into a smart contract. Let's go. So Lamar doesn't get you anywhere. Lofi, I don't know what you're watching, but Lamar gets you nowhere. It's just a fun offense to prepare for in the regular season, and it's difficult for teams. And outside of that, when it gets to the playoffs, they shut down the run, and that's it. So I appreciate it, Christian. You want to make some money? There you go. I don't think Lofi has the 5K to bring. So, but you're more than welcome to come on over and bring it. Lamar, of course, Lamar doesn't fit in this system. You need to have accuracy and timing. You need to have anticipatory skills in order to do that in this offense. He has none of that. That loss to the Ravens was not Lamar's fault. That was the defense. The same. Well, no. You have a lead, my brother. You got to add points to it, Frankie. There's no excuses. You got to find a way, dude. You got to find a way. You can't. So Lamar couldn't score on that defense? Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I forgot Lamar was playing this incredible defense and all of a sudden started shutting everybody down. Yeah. Rosenda says, come on, let's all do a wager. Who gives me 10-1 for Lofi and 5-2 for Big O? When he starts winning the playoffs, that'll be the first time. And then we'll see. Darren says, so many have gotten concussed this year. This is all optics when the nation saw him with the fingers and carted off the field. No, but see, Darren, that's all changed now. 80% of those people, or 90, because see, I'm the only one from the draft. I said, his problem is injuries. That's why you stay away from him. But he can play the game. See, the problem was all those people, probably Lofi included, okay, because we're not tracking what Lofi says. Just like, some of the people that are in the media, writing, TV, or radio, they all said he couldn't play. He was too short. His arm wasn't strong enough. Notice how they're all shutting up now. And so now they'll lean over to the injury side. That's all they can do now because they were already wrong about playing. So let's move the narrative now. Let's move the goalpost now, as they say. That's kind of what they're doing. That's all it is. So now that he can play and they were wrong, well, now we got to ride on this whole injury thing. Oh, no, it's not injury. Oh, it's concussions now. But I thought it was injuries because it was never concussions. Nobody ever talked about that Tua had concussion problems. It was injury problems. Well, there were no injuries this year. It was all concussions. Oh, I see. So now he's concussion prone for the rest of his life. Okay. So no longer is he that he can't play, that his arm is not strong enough and all that other stuff. Now let's move over to this. Since I was wrong, let me go over to this, right? Because that's what I was hearing from, in fact, that's what I was hearing from Joe when I was driving down. He was just talking about the injuries and I'm laughing. I'm like, yeah, Joe, you can't talk about a player anymore because you were wrong about that already, right? Because his thing was, no, this guy can't be the guy, can't be the franchise player, all that. Well, guess what? He can. And his stats prove that he's one of the best in the NFL at that. That's how this game is played. And if he comes back next year, we won't hear from anybody about it. Anyway, let's see. By the way, Lamar's numbers are not way better than Tua every year. They're not better this year. Okay? 17-7 is not better than 25-8. Not sure if you're good at math there, Tenard. Not sure if you're good at math. But 25-8 is a lot better than 17-7. And go look at the completion percentage. What is it? 62 to like 69 or 70 or whatever it was for Tua. I'm not sure if you actually like follow things. You know what I'm saying? But that's all right. That's all right. It's all right. There's a lot of you that like to spew misinformation and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But that's all right. Trenard. Christian, thank you for the love on the super chat. Making the trip down for Finn's Giants next season. This is the interesting part that's going on with the Dolphins this year. And where is it over here? Yes. So they announced 5 teams will be playing in Europe this year. Okay? Bills, Titans, and Jacksonville will be playing in the UK. Kansas City and the Patriots will be playing in Germany. Now, these 5 teams are all giving up home games, as you all know, to play these games in Europe. But think about this. If 5 teams are playing in Europe, that means 10 teams are playing in Europe. That means it affects a third of the league now. And guess what? The Dolphins play the Bills, the Titans, the Jags, KC, and the Pats all next year on their schedule. So there's a good chance that Miami is playing in one of these 5 games. I would probably bank on that. Because you think about it, the percentages that it affects you, okay, so it's 30%. Okay. Now, all 5 teams that you play are all going to Europe. Do you think all the other teams can say that they're playing all those 5 teams? No. They might be playing only a couple of those teams. Hell, maybe some of them might not even be playing one of those teams on their schedule. But the fact that Miami has all 5 on the schedule, I can pretty much guarantee you they're going to the UK or Germany with one of those games almost. I mean, it is going to be a miracle if Miami doesn't end up as one of the opponents in that game. And by the way, here's the other thing, the other caveat I'd like to and our friends in England, I want to apologize on behalf of America, the NFL, because for years, we always give you shitty opponents. We give you shitty games. We send bad games over there. Well, now you're sending the Bills. The Jags now are actually a good team, and they've got a London connection anyway, so they want to go there. But KC's a good team. And you're actually sending better opponents now. The Titans are a solid franchise. If they could get a quarterback, it doesn't look like the Malik kid is even close to being ready. That's a real mistake for them. But they're going to have to find another quarterback. Obviously, they're going to part ways with Tannehill, so they need to get themselves another quarterback. But it's a good franchise. So kudos to the NFL, and thank you, our English friends, because you have been very tolerant of what's gone on, because we have not given you the best games possible over the years. But now things are changing. The Germany games were breaking all kinds of numbers. So they said, UK's been so good. Eventually, I think there should be a European division. That's the way I think. You put 4 teams in Europe and you expand 2 by 2. In other words, you can't expand with 4 teams in 1 year, but you can expand 2 1 year and then 2 another year. And you can have, different expansion drafts and all that stuff. And I've already told you my idea. 1 in London, 1 in Berlin, 1 in Paris, and 1 in Barcelona. And then you have a international training facility with a hotel somewhere in the middle where they can travel to all, it's not really a long distance anyways to go to all those places. So it's not so bad for them. And then that way teams can travel, stay there, and then go to a couple of games, then come back and enjoy a bye week. When you add this division, you now go to 20-week season and you add 2 bye weeks and you add the 18th game. That's what will happen. So that way you go to 36. You've got a even number. You've got another 4-team division. Those teams can play each other within that round robin. Travel won't be killer for them. And then you have an international practice facility somewhere in Indianapolis, or maybe a little more south, maybe somewhere in northern Alabama or Mississippi or something like that. And then that way they can go and centralize and stay practicing there and then travel, and they stay in this country for a while. So maybe this is the turn. You've gone from the test, sending bad games. They still respond. Now you're sending good games, and the numbers are going through the roof. Plus, this is another territory for the NFL to milk more money, because now you put 4 teams there. Now you've got all of Europe buying jerseys and buying tickets and suites and all kinds of stuff. So this becomes another revenue stream for the NFL. Listen, the Premiership and everybody, they're making money here now, right? They send teams here. They send games here, friendlies. We're buying packages. We're watching it on all kinds of, different platforms and paying for it, right? For years, I paid for Serie A on Dish Network, so we've been doing it for years. This is the next page for the NFL to expand to Europe. And by putting 1 team or 2 doesn't make sense. You put an entire European division in Europe, and you just kill it that way. And I think it would be an absolute bomb if that happens. But I can tell you, the Dolphins, there's a good chance they're going to London or to Germany this year, because what are the chances? You play all 5 of these teams? Come on, man. You're probably going to end up, in one of those games. So there you go. There you go on the news with the 5 European teams headed to Europe, or 5 NFL teams headed to Europe. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? If they never change the rules from game 16 to 17, it would be the New England Patriots in the playoffs again, but then whatever. Okay. Yeah, remember when Flores was offered a bye week after the London game and turned it down? Yeah, Flores is a moron. That's why it would be just perfect for Arizona to hire him, because that would be so Arizona. Maybe an international Big O show coming next year. Well, Basketball Jones, we are waiting for our first international sponsor to step up, support the platform, and then ship us out to wherever their home base is, except for China, North Korea, Cuba, Russia. Where else? What's the another country we don't want to go to? Where am I? China, North Korea, Cuba, Russia. There's got to be one more I'm missing. Probably somewhere. Oh, Kraptar. I don't want to go to Kraptar. Okay? I'm good with Kraptar. Don't need to go to Kraptar. So there you go. Okay? Well, Iran might not be a good one too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, only my guy Mike No-Go Zones is going to go to Iran. He's the only crazy bastard, and that's why he is Mike No-Go Zones, because he will go to zones that you would never even dare even think about. Okay, the balls that guy has is just like they don't fit in this entire building. I don't know how he does it, man. I really don't. Yeah, Venezuela. Yeah, Vietnam's not bad anymore, is it? I don't think so. Is Vietnam really viewed that way? I don't think so, Rosendo. I don't think Vietnam's viewed that way, dude. Nah, I'd go to Vietnam. I'd go to Vietnam. Yeah, Venezuela's kind of screwed up. Somalia, yeah, that might be yeah, Dougie Fresh. I'm kind of staying away from Haiti too. Yeah. Yeah, that place is a mess. Yeah, not that it's not the people, unfortunately. Obviously, it's all the other stuff that goes. I feel terrible for that country. That country gets no breaks, dude. No breaks. Even storms hit them and not the Dominican Republic. Now, the Dominican Republic would be a good place to go. That would be fun. I would like the Dominican Republic.
I'm researching Vietnam.
Oh, it's bad?
It says it's now considered to be a potential ally of the United States. Then on the bottom, it says, is Vietnam safe to visit? You should not travel to this country, territory, or region. Your personal safety and security are at great risk.
Okay, well, you're right, Rosendo. I guess so. Okay, we're not going to Vietnam anymore. No Vietnam. Okay, we're out. Big O, any updates next season with the show? Possibly return? I don't know. I don't know yet. I have no idea yet. We are trying to work on that. We're way early in the process right now on that. People don't normally commit to these kind of things, 9 months away. But we'll work on it. So we'll see. We will have a home for the Dolphins broadcast next season. I promise you that. There's no doubt in my mind. And the next time we find a home, I know it'll be a permanent one, because what we did with the Canes this season and walk-ons, which it might be walk-ons. To be quite honest, they probably are the lead dogs to be the Dolphin broadcast next year. They're kind of very interested in it, but all of that has to be all finalized. There has to be a contract, there has to be an agreement in place, all those kind of things. And until that agreement is signed, we can't do anything about that. But we're in fact, Al is the one that's working on our home for the Dolphin show next year. So we'll see. They're asking where's our home for the Dolphins next year already. For the Dolphin broadcast. Huh? I know it's TBD, but basically they're saying you're a slacker without even knowing you. Okay, so there you go. See, so blame Al, not me. Okay? I can't do it. It's his job to find us a home, okay? He did find us a home for the Canes. It might be walk-ons. They could have the inside track, but nothing is etched in stone yet. Until we agree with someone, can't do it yet. You never know. True Leaf might want us to do a Smoking Sunday pre- and post-game show. Fluent might be wanting us to do a pre- and post-game. Huh? Bottled Blonde might be wanting us to do a pre- and post. You never know. There's people that we've talked to, but you just never know. And you never know. There'll be a dispensary on this show at one point or another. That is going to eventually happen. Okay, eventually it's going to happen. You know what I mean? So all these kind of things are in the works, but we're trying to develop them. Dougie says Vietnam is actually cool as hell, inexpensive, beautiful land, and hospitable as hell. I've been there several times. I totally disagree with whoever wrote that. That was Rosendo. Well, maybe Rosendo's a former Vietnam vet, and he's got memories from the past. He just Googled.
No, I Googled.
Yeah.
And it's a TripAdvisor.
Oh, it's a TripAdvisor?
Yeah.
And it was a bad report on the TripAdvisor? Yeah. Well then, Al, no sponsors in See, you just got here a couple minutes. They're asking me when's the first international sponsor going to ship us out somewhere, and so
Dougie, let us know where you went.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Doug, what were you doing there in Vietnam, huh? What were you doing there in Vietnam? It's like when you hear guys bragging about going to Colombia or something. We know why you're going to Colombia, dude. It's like, yeah, we know why you're going to Colombia. Yeah. You need to get laid. So I get it. You're going to Colombia. It's all good. Tootsies, we don't have an adult entertainment establishment is needed. I mean, again, that's a place we can broadcast live from. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. These are all potential places. Big O, with the NFL looking to make money, will there ever be a Super Bowl in Europe or out of the USA? Yeah, I can see that happening. Money is everything. I can see it in Wembley Stadium. Like I told you, eventually we'll have a European division. And then once you have a European division, you have that connection for a while. I don't think it'll happen for another 20 years or something, but it's got to get to a point where it's crazed over there too. Okay? And if you have a European division, like I said, you put one in London, you put one in Barcelona, you put one in Berlin, and you put one in Paris. So now they're all easy to get to from within. And then you have that whole thing going back and forth after several years. I can see Wembley Stadium being the first place that you have a Super Bowl outside of the United States, because Wembley would be like ideal, dude. It's like perfect. And the English have always supported American football. I mean, strongly. They are major fans. So I can see something like that happening down the line. I'll be really old at that point, but it's money, man. Money drives everything. So imagine once you get Europe sick about football and they're like going crazy about American football, and that's when you're going to be able to pull in all kinds of revenue. So yeah, I can definitely see it coming. Yes.
Hey, Frankie Fresco had a question. He says, any live shows in Inter Miami Stadium for the future?
I doubt that very much. I doubt that very much. I couldn't doubt that. How about I can pretty much guarantee it. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so yeah, that's no shot at that. I don't think that's going to end up. I don't think we'll do any shows inside a stadium for a game, because there'll be conflicts with radio stations and all that kind of stuff. The Marlins, we were going to do it a couple of years ago. They were going to allow us in there pregame leading up to the game, and inside the concourse and everything. It was planned. Now the new people took over. I haven't been in contact with them. I don't know if they want to do anything like that. And I don't have anything against the Marlins. I wish they were good, but they don't even try, dude. And that's the bad part about the Marlins. It's like, it sucks to have your local team and they're not trying to win. You know what I mean? That part is frustrating. It really is. Big O, I agree with you on European expansion take. The only problem I see is that now you have one conference with 4 more teams. So in theory, you would need two new divisions to keep it balanced. You're probably right, or you'll move things around a little bit to kind of adjust. You might accommodate. Let me see. If you have 36, well, you can put 18 in each conference. So you can do that. I don't think that would be they've always realigned divisions, so they can do it again. And that wouldn't be that much of a problem. But I think if you end up with 36, you still have an even number that you can display in each conference. You'll just move things around. That's all. Remember, the teams that are divisioned now the way they are is not like we always played the Colts. Remember? Right. I mean, Colts was always like, you know, I grew up watching, you know, Landry and Hogaboom and who's the other guy that they had for a long time? Greg Landry, Hogaboom, but the guy before Greg Landry was, oh, God. I know you're Googling it, but I'm trying to remember off memory. He had a lot of injury history with him. He wasn't a bad quarterback, too. He was serviceable. Oh, man. It was right before Greg Landry. Gary Hogaboom came after him, but Landry, somebody's going to come up with it, I'm sure. Burt Jones. Thank you, Richard.
God damn, how old are you, Richard?
Yeah, well, come on, man. Yeah, those guys are going to remember it. So, yeah, those were things that, like, Burt Jones? Yeah. Yeah, Burt Jones, man. You remember Burt Jones? So, yeah. Kind of same kind of quarterback.
It's so funny how all the quarterbacks are the same.
Yeah, Burt Jones. Yeah. So we used to play the Colts all the time, and then everything got moved. You remember the Falcons used to be in the NFC West. It was like the weirdest thing. It's like, what the hell are the Falcons doing in the NFC West? You know what I mean? What?
Can you imagine the AFC East being like Tampa Bay, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the Falcons?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But Scott said also Burt Jones. He's waiting.
There you go. All right, let's do it. Let's start off hour number 3. Let's talk a little playoffs football and a little daily fantasy with our man Scott Pianowski and our Sports Grill fantasy football and NFL zone.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. PPR, Draft, Keeper, Dynasty. It's the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Keep up with your fantasy football teams by visiting any of the 8 great Sports Grill locations. Sports Grill, good food, good drink, good friends. Here's Scott Pianowski.
Right. Remember, this segment is a lot of NFL talk, draft talk, and then we'll lead to some daily fantasy throughout the playoffs. But there's going to be a lot of football talk now between Scott and myself here and Andy throughout the offseason. How you doing, my friend? You doing good?
Doing great. Looking forward to one of the best weekends of the year.
Yes, man. I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, over the weekend here to watch a couple of the games. I do want to ask you, when you look at the situation with the Dolphins and you see their commitment to Tua, your thoughts on committing to Tua, or is there another option that you would say is better that they can pursue? What is it?
I think you have to try another year. It's the concussion thing is so complicated, but man, the guy led the league in passer rating. We talked about that last week, and he's got 2 dynamic receivers. He's got an offense that really was singing this year. It's a shame they went in the playoffs. They couldn't have the quarterback they wanted, but I think you have to give it another year. And look around. I've said this all season. I've said this on this show many times. The story of this season to me was how uneven the quarterback play was. Russell Wilson was terrible. Matthew Stafford was having a bad season. He got hurt. Brady had one of his worst seasons. Aaron Rodgers might be through. Dak Prescott, who's in the playoffs, led the league in interceptions. Lamar Jackson did nothing after September. Matt Ryan's career might be over. And I could go to 5 or 6 more teams. We know how Mac Jones, got worse. You look in the division, Zach Wilson might be a lost cause. It got to the point that Jared Goff and Geno Smith were like the safe harbors, right? Daniel Jones kind of resurrected his career with the Giants. He's going to get a big pile of money. There aren't that many answers out there. I know there's going to be guys who are going to get drafted, but the Dolphins won't be drafting early enough to get one of those guys. I think you have to run it back with Tua at least one more season.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have no problem with it. Plus, there's no options that are better. None. Outside of Aaron Rodgers. That's it. And that's a crazy idea because you don't have the draft capital to trade. And 2, the salary cap ramifications for Green Bay are just absolutely brutal if they trade him. So I don't think that there's no other upgrade. There's nothing. I don't think Lamar is a better player than this guy as a passer. I don't think Derek Carr is an upgrade whatsoever. And he's missed his share of games. There's just the guys that are out there, to me, are not an upgrade at that position overall. Tua actually outplayed all those people that we pretty much talked about.
Yeah, obviously we can't undersell the gravity of the concussion issue, but the problem is not the quality of Tua's play. He had a great season.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Now, the thing is he really concussion prone from here on out or not? Because it's only 1 year of all this stuff. He was supposedly injury prone. Well, there were no ribs, no fractured finger, no hip, no ankles, nothing. None of those kind of things happened this year. And everybody just forgets that. They leave it all. It was all the head trauma. Or could it just be bad luck, dude? You know what I mean?
You never know. You never know. You know, we thought in the fantasy season, one of the reasons why people took Jonathan Taylor, and I was one of these guys, why did you take Jonathan Taylor 101? He had never missed a game or a practice before this season. Everybody is bulletproof until they're not, and everybody's injury prone until they're not. I remember this going back a ways, but Fred Taylor came into the league. He was fragile Fred. You know, you couldn't draft Fred Taylor. He's going to play 11 games. And then all of a sudden he reeled off like a bunch of full seasons in a row. Sometimes guys change their diet or they change their conditioning, and other times it's just they stop slipping on banana peels. There's so much variance to this stuff, you know, just the timing, the power of the game, the speed of the game, and what happens. And if you stop and think about the tiny little things that happen that affect your life and affect your fantasy games and everything, you'll drive yourself crazy. I mean, there's a lot of randomness out there, and you just hope that some of that, you know, goes your way. The football gods smile on you. There's no explanation sometimes.
No, I'm with you there. That's the thing about this whole mess, that sometimes we go a little overboard on all of this, and then we really don't look at the chance that, you know, maybe this was just a thing that you know, a phase that you kind of go through and then you move on. Drew Brees, the same thing. It's like everybody wanted to stay away from Drew Brees, and New Orleans took the chance on the shoulder injury, and the rest is history. You know what I mean?
Culpepper and Saban instead of Drew Brees and Saban. You guys obviously know that. I mean, look at the playoffs, right? Baltimore wasn't playing their starting quarterback. The Niners might go to the Super Bowl with a third-string quarterback. It's all over the league.
Yeah. It's just one of those. I just want to see. Now, is there anybody in the draft that you like? Miami picks 51, 77, and 84. So you're not getting.
You'd have to trade up, and nobody at that price. I mean, you could take a project. You could take somebody who you think has upside, but nobody who would compete for the job next year.
No, not compete, but something like a project that you can develop. Is there a guy you like?
Nobody's coming to mind right now. I haven't really done the secondary draft research. I only know really the first-round prospects right now, but I'll try to have a good answer for that in the coming weeks.
Okay, you got it. Good stuff. I'll be headed out to the Senior Bowl, by the way, at the end of the month. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun to get back out on the road. And
it is a fun class. It's a great running back class. Every receiver class seems like it's a great one. And there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks taken. We'll see who ends up being good and who ends up not being good. But there's going to be a lot of fantasy ramifications because a lot of skill talent is going to get drafted high and with expectations. And that's one of the biggest changes in fantasy over the last 5, 10, 15 years. It used to be like, okay, yeah, the rookie running back's fine. But if you took a rookie receiver, you get laughed out of the room. You took a rookie quarterback, you'd be like, what are you doing? You're crazy. He may not play, or he may be over his head. Now we expect rookie receivers to be good right away. And Chris Olave was, and Garrett Wilson was. Held back by their quarterbacks at times. And actually, it wasn't a great running back year for rookies this year. I mean, Walker was good late, and Algier, the kid for Houston, Damian Pierce was pretty good. Robinson is the first running back that will get taken, but this will be a really fun rookie class, I think. I think it'll be better than this year's, and this year's wasn't bad.
Yeah, and I think Miami may be in the market for
sure.
Either a running back, middle linebacker, and of course a pass catching, blocking tight end, if they can find one of those. But I think with those picks in the second and third rounds, I think that those are the kind of players that they could be going after. All right, let's get into a little daily fantasy. Let's start off with Jacksonville and Kansas City. On the Jacksonville side, first of all, any of the daily fantasy things are you looking forward to? Which one?
Well, I think Lawrence is going to throw 40 or more passes. They'll be chasing the game a little bit. That's the way the game was when they played the first time. I think it was week 10. So I expect 40 or more pass attempts. And it's
at 38. It's at 38.5. Okay. So you like the higher?
Yeah, I like the over on that. And you can play his pass catchers proactively because it's such a narrow tree, right? They only throw really to a couple of wideouts in their tight end. They don't throw the ball to ETN. I'm not really sure why, because obviously Lawrence and ETN played college football together. But I would think Zay Jones is in a good spot. I think Kirk went for over 100 in the last meeting. I like both of those guys. I think Ingram's touchdown equity makes a lot of sense. I'm imagining this will be something like a Chiefs 31, Jaguars 23. That's the type of game I'm expecting.
They've got Kirk over 66.5 yards, Zay Jones over 52.5 yards, and Evan Ingram over 48.5 yards.
Honestly, I think if you go over on all three of them, you'll hit two of them, and maybe all three of them.
Okay. I do like Evan Ingram over 48.5 because they just seem to use him a lot. All right, on the KC side, Pat Mahomes. We've got passing yards, 313.5. We've got 2.5 touchdowns passing. Your thoughts?
Those are big numbers. I don't want to bet against Patrick Mahomes, but those are juiced so high. I can't assume he's going to throw for 300. You don't know the flow of the game. God forbid they score on defense or special teams and you lose a possession, or if they're trying to drain the clock late. Mahomes is a great player. The strange thing about his season, though, he's going to win the MVP. He's basically the trophy. He's already won the AP All-Pro nod, which is basically the MVP, right? Who else had a great season on this offense? Travis Kelce was fantastic. He's Travis Kelce. Jerick McKinnon had a bushel of touchdowns for Christmas. He had one touchdown into December, and then he scored 9 more times. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Juju was okay. Hardman got hurt. They acquired Tony. That didn't really turn into anything. Sky Moore was the guy they drafted who hasn't done much yet. MVS makes a big play once every 4 or 5 weeks. If you had told me, if I'd missed the whole season, you told me, oh yeah, Mahomes #1 seed, he's got the MVP in his back pocket. Oh, did Juju go to the Pro Bowl, or did they finally figure out Hardman, or did MVS have a big year, or what else happened with that? Did Kelce score 20 times? Well, no, Kelce was great. Everybody else was kind of okay. They spread it around on this offense. I do think McKinnon will score again. That's an easy button. The strange thing with him is that he's scoring all these touchdowns through the air. That's like something you would never.
That's what I like 34.5 yards receiving. Mm-hmm. I like the over on that one.
And they leaned on him more in the playoffs last year too. So I think that's an easy button for them. They've been looking for it again. Hardman missed a chunk of the season because a lot of those plays might have been to Hardman. CEH has been hurt. He may come back later in the playoffs, but he wouldn't be expected on Saturday. And Pacheco, they don't throw the ball to Pacheco. He only has 12 catches or something like that, 10 catches, whatever it is. So, yeah, McKinnon receiving props are actually, that's the Kansas City angle I want to go with.
Kelce, 80.5 yards. You like that one over, and 6.5 receptions.
That's Jacksonville's tight end coverage has been really bad, but those are such big numbers. You would think they would devote resources to Kelce. That's a no play for me, too.
All right, we go with Giants in Philadelphia. Daniel Jones. Let's go with, what is it, passing yards? Where you got 217.5. or 45.5 rushing yards, or touchdowns. Where are we? No, I don't have anything on touchdowns. So
doesn't matter. You have the prop I want, which is the rushing yards. We saw him run proactively last week. Now, Philadelphia, they're going to be on the hunt for Jones. They have 4 different guys with double-digit sacks. And what a great pass rush when you can get it from so many different sources. But Jones is athletic. He said that he's arguably the most improved player in the NFL, and he made himself the most money this year. Giants didn't want to re-sign him before the season. Now they have to. Jones is going to get whatever he wants. And he's making it sing. I can't believe, I've never seen this before, Big O. Isaiah Hodgins was waived by the Bills. Now, granted, they were trying to put him on waivers to put him on the practice squad. They didn't want to give him up. But can you remember a receiver in season changing teams via waivers and being this good? The Giants obviously needed receiver help. I mean, look, Slayton's not a bad player, and they have some other guys, but they needed somebody to step up, and Hodgins has been terrific. I don't know what his prop is, but I'd be looking to play
45.5.
Oh, God, that's an overall day. I'm going over on Hodgins, and I'm going to play Jones on the rushing yards.
You're going to play Jones on the rushing yards? Okay. All right, I like that. How about Jalen Hurts? Are you going with over 50.5 rushing yards, 245.5 passing yards, half a rushing TD? Let me see. Those are kind of sexy. Which ones?
Yeah, I think I'd actually go under in the passing. And I don't want to get too tied to Hurts because he's played 2 poor games and he's been hurt. They didn't look good in Week 18 against the Giants JV. I'm afraid that Hurts is going to come out rusty. I think he'll eventually get there. It might be like the Niners game last week. They did not play a good half of football against Seattle. And then the second half, it's like, okay, San Francisco's the better team here. They took care of business. Because Hurts has missed so much time and he didn't look great in Week 18, I'm going to back off him in this spot. He makes me a little bit nervous.
All right, so then we go to the skill positions. Miles Sanders, 66.5 yards rushing. A.J. Brown, 74.5 yards receiving. Devonta Smith, 66.5 yards receiving. Or Dallas Goedert, 51.5 yards receiving.
I'm glad the Goddard number is more digestible. I lean there because I think the Giants are going to try to cover the outside flanks and leave the middle of the field. They'll say, okay, look, you want to beat us with 8 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. We can live with it. They don't want A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith making 25-yard chunk plays. The Sanders number is juiced high enough that I can't touch it. The one play in there that made sense to me, again, because I'm nervous that Hurts is not going to have a great 3-hour game. I think he'll eventually be productive, and the Eagles will eventually take care of business. And actually, what I want to do this week on Saturday, I know this is the squarest play in the world. I'm teasing the Chiefs and I'm teasing the Eagles. Where you get them both under 3, they basically just have to win the game.
Right.
That's one of the things I did early in the week before the lines moved up at all. But still, if you can get past the 7, past the 4, past the 3, you're in good shape there. If you're going to play something in the Eagles passing game, I like Goddard to beat the 51.
Okay. Let's go Cincinnati and Buffalo. Joe Burrow. We've got let me see here. Passing yards. Here we go. 277.5 passing yards. We've got Joe Mixon, 48.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, it's a tiny number for Mixon, but you know what? I don't think he's going to beat it because when you have problems on the offensive line, the Bengals somehow won last week. They had 234 yards of offense. Some of that's Baltimore's defense being good, but the Bengals' offensive line was terrible. But ultimately, when teams have those issues, you can mask that much more in the passing game than the running game. If you have an offensive line that's hurt, that's playing all these backups, you're not going to be able to run block. Joe Mixon is not going to go anywhere. And he's not a breakaway back. He's not one of these guys who's going to get bottled up and then is going to break off like a Barry Sanders 55-yard run. Yeah. No, he said he's like a kind of a grinder. Right. And really didn't have a great fantasy season. He had the 5 touchdowns against Carolina. Other than that, he was kind of a disappointment. I think Burrow is going to get there because he's going to have to throw a boatload of passes. They're going to eventually junk the running game in the second half. They'll probably be chasing the game because Buffalo will score. So I think Burrow props make sense. I think the receivers make sense.
Okay, so then let me give you the receivers now. Jamar Chase, 84.5. T. Higgins, 67.5. And Tyler Boyd, 38.5. And Hayden Hurst, our Red Recover boy, 33.5.
Higgins over is the guy I like. Although I won't blame you if you go Chase. Again, he can have a nothing game and then he can score on a 7-yard touchdown and get you there. But I like the Higgins play. I'm okay. I will lean at least over on Chase. The other 2 numbers I think are good numbers I would stay away from.
Okay, there you go. Good stuff. All right, let's go with Buffalo. Josh Allen, 45.5 yards rushing and 275.5 yards passing.
I think he'll beat the passing. I'm surprised he didn't run more proactively. He had that one big run when they needed it in the fourth quarter, but I think he ran for like 20 yards or something like that against Miami. That surprised me. But I think he'll beat the passing. The Bengals haven't had a consistent pass rush. The one thing Miami did last week very well is they harassed Allen. They sacked him 7 times. You never see that. But and it's just weird. Buffalo, man. How they when they get up 17-0, I really thought that game was over. I give Miami credit for making a game out of it with a 3rd-string quarterback and all that stuff. But I think Buffalo is going to have to throw the ball to win this game. I think Allen, for whatever reason, they've kind of backed off a little bit on the proactive running. And maybe it's good. You don't want your best player getting hit as much as you've been getting hit lately. So I think it's a slanted. Their offense is going to be 75-25 pass. They may come out in the their first drive where it's like all passing, all shotgun. Their running backs are okay. They're not great. I never know if Singletary or Cook is the right guy to play. I can't get near any of their props. I think the passing game is pretty reliable. But also, their team. I talked about Mahomes. Like, who does he have other than Kelsey? You never know where it's coming with Buffalo other than Diggs. He's the one guy you can bet on. Once in a while,
82.5, and Gabe Davis is 57.5.
I think Gabe Davis is a sucker play. I know he went over 100 last week, and I know last year, obviously, the 4-touchdown game against Kansas City to get everybody excited. But I don't want to touch Davis. I think Diggs will beat it, and I can't. Maybe Dawson Knox is a good touchdown guy because he's been their red zone player. That's the one thing Buffalo doesn't do that well is convert in the red zone. But when they have lately, it has been Knox, the tight end. So I can see Knox for a touchdown. I think Diggs will go over his number.
All right, let's go Dallas, San Francisco. Dak Prescott. All right, we go 1.5 passing TDs. We go 254.5 passing yards. By the way, they don't have interceptions.
That's what I wanted. Yeah, led the league in picks.
I was gonna get you interceptions.
Well, if you can find a pick prop,
I know
it'll probably be positive juice, but whatever. They're probably going to be behind in this game. The Niners have the best defense in the league. It's a little bit better of a run defense than a pass defense. I'm definitely going under on Zeke Elliott. You can't set the number low enough for me with Zeke. I don't care if it's in the 30s.
Dude, it's 35.5.
Yeah, I thought it might be low. I'm still going under because I think they're going to have to give up on that.
Pollard at 48.5.
Pollard scares me because Pollard can beat me on one run. Zeke can't. But I'll tell you what.
I like one play for Pollard, believe it or not.
I can see it. Dax.
No, wait a minute. 18.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I like that too. That's a really good play. Dak's throwing a pick. Bet Dak to throw a pick. Bet Pollard to beat his receiving prop.
I like Pollard in that receiving area.
I love it. That's how you slow down a pass rush too.
Are you touching 79.5?
That's a no play for me.
Okay. Dalton Schultz, 44.5.
Man, I wish just if you told me like 38 or 40, I'd be over. That's just a good number. That's a tight. This is the problem you have in the playoffs. Is that there's fewer games for the books to work on, so you get tighter numbers. It can be harder to beat. It's not going to try to force it. I know Schultz looked great last week against Tampa Bay. He even was the guy who got all the attention when Lamb got that easy touchdown at the end of the game. But I'm going to sit that one out. Again, I think these Pollard and Dak props are really strong.
All right, let's go Brock Purdy now. 239.5 passing yards, half an interception. All right, and 1.5 passing TDs. These are the props that I looked at, and I said, let's see. What do you think?
I like the passing yardage. The thing with San Francisco is they do just such a good job of scheming guys wide open, and they make so many yards after the catch. You get passes. You get 5 or 10-yard passes that turn into 50-yard gains because Samuel's that type of player. Debo, Ayuk's that kind of player. Kittle's that kind of player. And Christian McCaffrey's that kind of player. It's so hard to evaluate how good Purdy really is. I don't want to take anything away from the kid. I think he's probably their opening day starter next year, but he's surrounded by the best skill talent in the league and one of the best offensive designers. I think Purdy goes over that passing prop probably pretty easily.
I love over half an interception. I think he throws against this Dallas defense. He throws an interception.
I can see
he makes one mistake in this game. All right, Christian McCaffrey has 65.5 rushing yards in this game, half a rushing TD, 106.5 total yards, and 36.5 receiving yards.
That's where I'd be tempted. The receiving yards is the one thing that tempted me. I think the other numbers are really tight. I'd stay away from them. But again, you're looking to press an easy button. McCaffrey in space against the linebacker is an easy button.
Right. Debo Samuel, 55.5 receiving yards and 4.5 receptions.
They're both no plays for me. In fact, the receptions, if anything, I'd lean under. The problem is they have too many good players.
All right. Ayuk is at 55.5 and 4 receptions also. And Kittle, this is actually not bad. 48.5 receiving yards and 4 receptions in this game. I think Kittle's going to be a big factor against.
Yeah, I could see Kittle too. The one thing you worry about is he's an extension of their offensive line. He doesn't care. He'll block all day if you ask him to. But he's a tight end who can make chunk plays. A lot of tight ends don't, but he's a tight end who can score on like a 50-yard play. Yeah, Kittle, I would lean over. I know he didn't do a lot last week after having a great December with Purdy. Purdy and Kittle have been great together and much fantasy relief because Kittle's never been a huge touchdown guy in fantasy, but they do have a good connection. I think it's going to be a Kittle game.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. Tua related, and let's get into this one. You just mentioned it earlier about Daniel Jones, that they didn't pick up his option, and he went out and had a hell of a year, and now they're going to have to pay him whatever he wants. I've been arguing because obviously we have that side of the Dolphin Nation that isn't a Tua believer, and they want to move on or whatever, which is beyond me with the number one passer in the league, whatever. But anyway, I've said not only do you keep him and you got to bring him back next year, but you already have to pick up his fifth-year option, whether you like it or not, because if he does come back next year, think about it. This year he had no injuries. There was no broken ribs or knuckles or anything. It was the head stuff. So let's say he figures out to get rid of the damn football quickly and he stays away from concussions. And guess what? A second year of staying away from traditional injuries. Oh my God. And he goes out and puts up numbers and you didn't tag him. Now you're going to have to pay him that $40 million a year right off the bat because Lee Steinberg is not going to settle for a crappy deal. You're going to have to pay him, or you're going to be forced to franchise tag him, which is going to be hard cap $40 million. And you can't, and that gives you even less flexibility. So if you're the Dolphins, I think it behooves you to actually pick up that fifth-year option already, because even if he balls out, now you've got him under contract under year 5. You don't have to worry. You can negotiate where the contract will start in year 6 instead. Your thoughts on that?
No, I think it's wise to be proactive, to be a year ahead of it, because you have to play with this like it's what if it goes right, not if it goes wrong. Well, you're in the bucket with a bunch of other teams. You have to say, if this goes right, how much are we looking at here? I think you need to take a proactive step and get that extra year in the fold if you can.
I'm with you there. All right, tell them about Yahoo Sports. What are you working on, my friend?
Yeah, we did preview pod yesterday with Matt Harmon, Frank Schwab, and myself. Went through all the games in depth, talked about a bunch of DFS plays, prop plays. We picked all the games against the spread. We gave out that teaser that I liked on Saturday. So go there for your detailed preview, and then we'll have a recap pod at the end of the weekend, and then we'll preview the championship week next week. Again, these are my favorite weeks of the year, man, and we're getting really close. I don't think the Jaguars or the Giants can make the Super Bowl. Every other team that's in the playoffs right now would make a really sexy Super Bowl. I think we're going to get a great – every team's flawed. Don't get me wrong. Everybody's beatable. But I think we're going to get a really fun playoffs and a really fun Super Bowl matchup. I can't wait to watch the games this weekend.
I am with you. Follow him on Twitter at Scott_Pianowski and catch his work there at Yahoo Fantasy as always. Scotty, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you immensely.
Great to talk to you.
You got it. There you go, the great Scott Pianowski. And don't forget, 8 great locations, Sports Grill, baby. You're going to love it. Go out there. You can go catch all of the games tomorrow. And remember, during the NFL games, $1.50 Bud Light drafts and bottles. And remember, during the NFL games, the cherry lemonade and the tailgate tea, they added those new cocktails. $12 domestic pitchers, bone-in wings, 15% off. And they added the chicken sandwich, the buttermilk chicken sandwich to the menu, and the buffalo tater tots. They are awesome. And, Sports Grill is known for a great atmosphere, great service, great food, just a great place to enjoy sports, right? And they got the brand new location in Doral, but they're also known for their sauces. People love their sauces. I mean, the special grilled wings are like historic. They're like legendary. You know what I'm saying? And now you could take home the buffalo sauce, the Miami Heat, the blackberry, the barbecue, the dale. They've got them all there for you. You can take them home and douse all your food with all those sauces, baby. Get on out to sportsgrill.com and the website and find one of the 8 great locations nearest you.
You've been listening to the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Scott Pianowski. Go to sportsgrill.com to find a great location near you. Fantasy football fans, subscribe to the Big O Radio Show on YouTube and all other platforms to catch up with all our fantasy football insight provided by Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens.
All right. There we go. I'll mark it up a little bit. I like that. Speaking of the market, I got a great story. You guys are going to love this. The only problem about this is I can't take part in it. This is the part that kind of pisses me off. Let's go into the KSDT Sports Business Report. So, Sean, you know anything about minor league baseball? Very little. Do you know a team? Do you know any famous teams? Give me a famous team.
The Durham Bulls.
Okay.
The Kingston Indians.
Okay.
I know most of the Carolina League, I think.
Okay.
And then the ones that were down this
You're missing one in Carolina? Well, no, actually, no, they're not. Well, they could be Carolina. They could be Georgia, but I think it's Carolina. Savannah?
Durham Bulls?
Savannah? Where's Savannah at?
Savannah, Georgia? No, I'm sure
it is Georgia then.
I know
maybe
there's Savannah, Georgia, Savannah. That's that team that's going
the Savannah
crazy
Bananas.
Right
There you go. The Savannah Bananas have chosen people over profits. Now, if you guys don't know anything about the Savannah Bananas, you should actually go check it out. Because I don't know why I thought there was a Savannah. Is there a Savannah in the Carolinas? I thought there was a Savannah in South Carolina. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confusing with another name that kind of sounds the same. But anyway, so the quirky independent baseball team known for its dances and unique banana ball, they have been offered $1 million, a large amount of group of tickets for every single game on their 2023 tour, and to buy them at twice the price of $25, according to the owner, Jesse Cole. Now, he wrote immediately that they rejected the order, which would have produced $500,000 in extra profits for the Bananas. And he says, since day one, we've prided ourselves in creating an experience that this is fan first. We've eliminated all ticket fees, service fees, convenience fees, even paid the taxes for our fans for every single order. The team is preparing to embark, listen to this, on a 7-month, 33-city Banana Ball World Tour, it's going to be wild, across 22 states, and has a ticket wait list of nearly 500,000 people. They will play a 3-game series in March against the MLB Players Alumni Association. Okay? It's probably Savannah, Georgia. But is there a Savannah in South Carolina? Can you look it up for me? It didn't? No? Okay, so I was wrong. I'm thinking of something else. What city am I thinking of? Somebody help me with that one. But anyway, here's the amazing part. By the way, for those of you in South Florida, you can go to the Savannah Bananas website and you can go look at the tour dates for it. But they are coming. Oh, Savannah, South Carolina. Cane Savannah, it's called. Okay, that's what it was. Okay. No wonder. Okay. All right. Whatever. But anyway, whatever. I knew that there was something that I don't know why I thought of Savannah in South Carolina, and there is some kind of Savannah there. So, but anyway, Savannah, Georgia, I'm sure this is where it's at. But listen, February 17th and 18th, they're at the ballpark of Palm Beaches. Sold out. Daytona, for our friends up there at Essential Moving Experts, they're up there, right? Tortugas, our boys up there in Tortugas. Daytona, February 22nd and 23rd, they're at the Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Sold out. Jacksonville, our friends, March 4th and 5th, they're at 121 Financial Ballpark. Sold out. Most of the cities are sold out when you look at it. And apparently it's like one of the best experiences for minor league baseball. They do all kinds of wacky stuff and things like that. So the Savannah Bananas might be coming to your town. And let me tell you, after I read this story, I'm pissed and I want to go to the game in West Palm and I can't go.
I think they have like a 60-year-old relief pitcher.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
It's awesome.
It's crazy. It's
the guy that pitched for the first time here with the Marlins. What's his name? Charlie Huff.
No, it's
so Charlie Huff plays for the Savannah Bananas. Is that what you're telling me?
It's just if baseball could learn anything, they would watch those games and try to incorporate some. I get it.
Fun.
I get it. You can't incorporate everything because they do some things that you can't do in baseball, at least
I'm jealous, by the way.
Some things, but man, it is very entertaining.
I am jealous of any of you.
They're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
Yeah.
Not even Major League Baseball, but baseball.
I'm jealous because I did not know the Savannah Bananas were coming down to South Florida. Had no idea until I read that story. Did you know about it? I had no idea. And now I'm jealous. Now I'm pissed that I didn't know about it. I would have loved to have purchased a pair of tickets to go take the wife to go see that game just for that's going to be fun. That's more fun than going to a Marlins game. Just hate to say it, but any of you that are going to it in Palm Beach, kudos to you. You were on top of it, man. That is pretty freaking cool, man. What? Oh, he's ready to go? Let's go. Maybe Cam wants to go to the Savannah Bananas. Let's go. Cameron Wolf, we unleash the Wolf Pack.
We unleash the Wolf Pack as we get the latest in the NFL and the Miami Dolphins with our KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL Network insider Cameron Wolf. KSDT is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolf.
All right, Wolfman, how you doing, baby? You doing good?
I'm good, man. I just got off a flight. I just landed here to Kansas City, where it is a lot colder than it is in Miami.
It is?
But, yes. Unfortunately, I will be standing outside in 20s degree weather tomorrow for this game, and it probably will be snowing.
Will they serve you barbecue during halftime?
I hope so. That would be a way to warm you up.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. But you look too purdy. Not
I can tear down with some barbecue.
Not Purdy the quarterback, but you look too purdy when you go out there to be eating ribs and risking that attire.
I will put on some napkins and towels like a kid. I'll put on a bib, whatever I need to do. But I'm going to be hungry, man. I'm telling you, that's the one thing about covering those games. Our pregame show is 4.5 hours. And so I'm on the field for 4.5 hours straight. And then I get upstairs and I'm ready to chow down. But usually I get
all that you're getting all that beautiful smell from the parking lots.
Yes.
Right?
And I can't stop and enjoy some sausages, some ribs, a beer with the fans. I've got to go work, So
that sucks.
Usually I'm ready to chow down, And the other thing that sucks, and these are just these are first world problems. So I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. But a lot of times I get up at the press conference like 5 minutes before the game starts, and all the food for the pregame is already gone, already put away. Everybody ate, and then people like me who've been working for 5 hours get no food. So I've got to wait till halftime. And so a lot of times halftime is the first time I eat all day. And so, yes, if they have barbecue at halftime, I'm going to tear that barbecue up, and I'll take that risk.
Is this your first time in KC to cover a game?
No. So I used to cover the Denver Broncos. So I was here regularly, but it's been like 5 years since I've been to Kansas City.
So is the mystique real that the parking lot is loaded with barbecue all over the place? And
oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a dope atmosphere. I'd say the stadium itself, how loud it gets, is probably the loudest stadium in the league.
Yeah. I know that the stadium isn't anything special because it's been around a long time. But,
right. The stadium itself is not special, but the atmosphere, how people are in the tailgate, it's everything as advertised. Especially for a playoff game. Like I've been there for some primetime night games, and these dudes let loose. I don't know why Kansas City of all places has this rowdy atmosphere, but they get it turned.
Well, they can deal with all the alcohol since they're eating all that meat. So they've got, it's that right balance, they got going. Right. So, you can keep drinking because you keep eating. You keep drinking, you keep eating. You keep drinking, you keep eating. So, you can kind of keep it going there. So that's a bucket list place for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? By the way, okay, so 5 European games, Bills, Titans, Jacksonville, KC, and Pats are all going to either London or Germany. Now, the Dolphins are playing all 5 of those teams. Come on, dude. You know that they're – so which one do you think Miami is going to end up in? Because you think about it, 5 teams in Europe, that means 10 teams are going to be affected. That's a third of your league.
Right.
The Dolphins – are probably one of the few teams that have all 5 of those teams on their schedule. I think they're going to a road game in Europe. Which one do you think it is?
It's interesting because they have a lot of fans, I think probably everywhere, but in London. So London
yes.
would make a lot of sense, and the Jags play there every year. That, to me, would make a lot of sense for that game. They've started to do a little bit more rivalry games recently. I don't know how the Dolphins – see, the Dolphins, it's not their – game, so it would be a road game if they're going there, so it wouldn't really bother them as much as the home team. But maybe it's the Jets game. Maybe the Jets have to lose that game. Are they one of the teams?
No, Jacksonville. I'm thinking Bills or Jacksonville in London.
So I don't know if they're going to give up. They're going to force the Bills to give up a home game. But who knows? I mean,
the Bills already gave up a home game.
I mean, like a division home game. Home game. Usually it's a balance because you the teams they gotta give up the home game regardless.
No, but wait a minute. Dolphins and Jets played 2 years ago in London.
Correct. The thing they usually try to do, they try to save maybe your 2 or 3 best home games for the team that's hosting. So they don't want to get like if the Chiefs are playing the Bills, they're not going to force the Chiefs to give up their home game against the Bills to send it overseas. So they got to figure out something in that middle ground, and so that's why you got to figure out whose schedule. Where are you going to rank on somebody's schedule? Are you the best game on somebody's schedule, or are you like the 4th or 5th best game? And so division games are obviously a little higher, but Jets and Dolphins back in the day, that wasn't very high on their schedule because neither team was that great. The Bills-Dolphins, that might be, essentially for the AFC East title, and so that's a pretty good game. So Jacksonville Dolphins might be a game they're willing to send, although the Jags are playing pretty well recently.
It's a good game. By the way, that's also changed because let's be honest. The league usually has sent bad games over to Europe. Now that you're sending the Bills, the Jags are on the come up now. KC and the Pats, and even the Titans are a good franchise. They may be in flux right now with their quarterback, but
Titans are another good one.
Right. So we're also sending better opponents out there, which I like that because those people have been so dedicated to our sport, and they deserve some of the better matchups too up there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think early on it was like, who's going to volunteer to give up a game? And obviously Jacksonville volunteers every year. Not many of the good teams volunteer. And now it's like, all right, we got to force some people to go play over there. So, like, I think Green Bay was the last team, I believe, that just finally played over. Now every team has played overseas at least once. And now, it's anything. Now you can get your pick of the litter. Before, I know there was a priority for them to get every single team to play over there at least once, so all the London fans can say, hey, we had an opportunity to see all 32 teams. And so now I do think you're right. You're going to see a little bit more of more competitive games. And also some of the smaller market teams, quote unquote, like you mentioned, they're becoming more interesting. And so you've got the Jags, who are a very interesting team. And so even though the Jags play there every year, now some of the Jags-Titans games or the Jags-Texans games or those games that we cringed at, now they're a little bit more interesting because they have a franchise quarterback. So, I think that, and now we got 5 games or a couple games in Germany too. So, this thing is going to keep expanding, and I think it's good for the league, man. I just want to get over there. I haven't covered an international game. The way it works in our neck of the woods, like I said,
the inevitable, bro.
First world problems again. There's a hierarchy, and I'm the young kid still, and so I gotta wait my turn. But hopefully my turn's coming soon.
You'll get a free trip to Europe. Don't worry, soon enough. Okay. By the way, my plan is London, Paris, Barcelona, and Berlin. You create a European division. You make the league now 36. You'll have to readjust the conferences so you can make 18 and 18. You create an international practice facility plus hotel in Europe. So American teams fly over, stay there for a couple of weeks, play a couple of teams, fly back, enjoy a bye week. You go to 18 games for 18 teams in the schedule. You have 2 bye weeks, one for the teams that go to Europe and one for the teams that are playing a Thursday night game. And then that way you also have an international practice facility here, somewhere in the middle of the country, somewhere maybe in northern Mississippi, southern Tennessee, or something like that, where the weather isn't too bad. And then the European teams can fly over here, hang out for a couple of weeks, and fly to different areas to play their games and fly back. I think that's where we're headed, because it doesn't make sense to add 1 or 2 teams, because the logistics get all screwed up. But if you put an entire European division, it becomes a hell of what's it called? The financial resource for the NFL, because my God, the amount of money they're going to produce with 4 teams, 4 stadiums, sold out all the time, because Americans are going to make that a destination type of thing. Also, at the same time, you're going to sell TV rights, all that kind of stuff. And then the revenue streams, obviously, that come with all that. I just think that eventually that would be the right way to go about it. What do you think about my crazy plan?
Hey, I'm with it, man. Send it to Roger. Send it to Roger. I'm sure they've already been thinking about this, but I do think that's the ultimate goal, to have, I don't know if it's 4, but to have multiple teams in Europe. I think the other question is, do you get Mexico and Canada involved? Because I don't know if you can truly leave those 2 markets out because they're right here. But like you said, there's a little bit of logistics there. Do they start off with 2 over there, or do they jump into the pool with 4?
What you do is you expand 2 1 year, and then you expand again maybe a year or 2 later with the other 2. And then that's how, because you can't kill, you know how it is. The expansion draft, you cannot kill teams that way.
Yes,
that
and you can't do 4 in one time. So that's why I mentioned the difficulty. So I think you're right. Maybe it's 2 and 2. And like I said, I do think London obviously becomes one of them. And they've been trying to boost Germany up. So Germany makes sense as another. And so,
And then you go Paris and Barcelona, bro, and that's it.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I'm with you. We haven't had a game in France or Spain yet, but I'm sure that's probably something that's on the radar.
But I know we had NFL Europe there. Remember?
Right. We did, but not a full NFL game.
No, you're right.
But I will say we've had some in Mexico, so that's why I mentioned Mexico. I do think that Mexico will be in the mix as far as that conversation, because you have a lot of fans from Mexico that would definitely support a team, whether it's in Mexico City or whether it's elsewhere.
I'm just thinking logistics, because if you put 4 teams in Europe right next to each other, they can play each other. Those games all year long without real serious travel. And then if you're an American team, you fly over, you can stay there a couple of weeks, and it doesn't kill you that much by playing a couple of games. and you stay there for a couple weeks, and then you come back, and then you get a week off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I
And
get
so-
you. Logistically, it definitely would be easier that way.
Yeah.
But I think what they got to figure out is what can max. Like you said, it's all about money and it's all about the fan base. What markets are the most right now for teams? And obviously, the two immediate ones are London and Germany, and then from there, it's like maybe it's Paris and Barcelona, as you mentioned. Maybe it's Mexico and Canada. Maybe there's another team that we're not aware of.
Canada's tough. Canada's tough, my brother, because the Toronto market is so close to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And that's really the international city that you want to do it in. Really. It's not really Montreal and Vancouver and some of the other ones. Again, our Canadian friends, nothing against those cities. They're fantastic cities. But we all know Toronto is like the New York City of Canada. Right. It's an amazing city, and it's the perfect city. But the problem is that, what is it, the Belugas, right? For the Bills?
Yeah. Yep.
They might be a little pissed that you put a team right there next to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get you, but that's the league. The league is growing, right? And so we have, there's two teams in LA. There's two teams in New York. So you deal with it. If the way the Bills are playing, if you got a franchise quarterback, the Bills, Bills fans aren't gonna say, hey, we're gonna leave to Toronto. Maybe the Toronto people decide, hey, we got a team. But the Bills fans in Buffalo and in Western New York, and even those who are around the country, aren't going to leave that team. And that market itself, which used to be a very small market, has grown immensely over the last 5 years because of Josh Allen. And so I get that complaint. I mean, there's always going to be a complaint. When there was talk about San Antonio, it was like, oh, is Jerry Jones going to let a team be that close to him? If it makes money, it'll make sense. And so I don't know what the money would look like in Toronto, but I do know because Canada does not have a team, and they do in just about every other major sport we have here, that would make a lot of sense here. Actually, every other major sport we have here, they have a team. So this is the only one. And so the biggest sport here in America doesn't have a team in Canada or a team in Mexico, and those are the two closest cities to support. So that's why I mentioned those two cities.
All right, let's wrap it up with this two-part question. First of all, do you believe Chris Greer and company when they say they're going with Tua, they're moving forward, he will be the starting quarterback next year? Do you believe that, or do you think something will derail that?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Obviously, as of anything, you never know. I mean, Patrick Mahomes all of a sudden asked for a trade, then you can't hold him to, oh, you said you're going to have Tua here.
Outside of some wacky ass crap like that.
But I mean, like even hey, if Lamar Jackson demands a trade and says I only want to go to Miami, right? Then I don't know, like maybe that changed. But right now, as of the current landscape, then yes, I don't think there's a situation.
Would you rather have Lamar over Tua?
I mean, it depends on who's your. I mean, with Mike McDaniel's at OC.
Yes.
I mean, Lamar's won an MVP. Lamar's been. I know you're not a Lamar guy. I know you're not a Lamar guy, but Lamar.
I'm gonna ask you again. Is he a passer for this offense?
I think he can be. People forget he was a passer, and he ran a pro style offense in Bobby Petrino's offense in Louisville. So I think the assumption is that he's always a run first quarterback. I don't think
he is a run first quarterback.
I don't think,
he's not an accurate quarterback too.
He is not always been a run first quarterback. I do think he would adjust based on the system there. So yeah. But we're not there yet.
You're still believing in his passing and his accuracy, which I don't. But that's all right.
I think that he is one of the 5 or 6 most dynamic and most dangerous quarterbacks in the NFL. And
I get that. I get that with his legs. I get that. But he can't.
I'm just saying. I'm talking about
stay in the pocket.
I didn't say athletes. I said quarterbacks.
Right. No, I get it. I get it. But he does it with his legs, not with his arm. That's what it is.
I guess my overall point is I think Tua will be the Dolphins' starting quarterback in 2020.
Okay, so second part of the question. Do the Dolphins have to pick up his 5th-year option, or would you take the gamble and play the season without it? I personally think you have to pick up the option because if he balls out, Lee Steinberg will have your nuts on a plate at the end of the season, and you're going to have to pay him whatever he wants you to pay him. And if you tag him, you control him for that 5th year. And if he does ball out, you're still controlling him for $22.5 million, which in today's world, that's an incredible bargain.
Yeah, I think you got to give him the 5th-year option. To me, that's not really much of a choice. If you're as confident with his health as they seem to be, because that to me would be the only question. Do you feel like he's going to be able to come back fully healthy? And do you have comfort with his concussions that he's going to be able to stay that way, at least in your hope? And it sounds like they do. If so, then you got to pick his fifth-year option up. Like you said, it's not expensive compared to what a lot of quarterbacks make. And so even if he regresses as a quarterback, I don't think there's harm in having him on that deal. The worst thing you can do is do what the Giants did with Daniel Jones. Don't pick up the option. He balls out, and now the Giants are going to have to pay way more than they were going to have to pay before for a guy who I'm not 100% sure is still their franchise quarterback. And so that's where the predicament you're in. At least if you do the fifth-year option for Tua, at least you have him as your quarterback for the next 2 years, and it gives you more time to fully evaluate his health and to make sure that he's your guy. So to me, that's the easy answer there, and you kind of move on. And I'd actually be pretty surprised if that's not the result that happens.
Yeah, you have to do it. I think you have no choice. By the way, just a small note, Brett Dodger did bring up a really good point. If you expand to Rio, Brazilian cheerleaders.
Brazil would be, trust me, I've never been to Brazil.
Would we really care how they perform on the field?
No, I would love a trip to Brazil every year. I wouldn't care if they were 0-17. Send me to Brazil. That's the one I want.
That's it. There we go.
Hey, send me to Texas. Send me to Texans, Brazil, and I will sell that matchup like it's a Super Bowl. It could be 1-15 versus 0-16, and I'm gonna sell the heck out of it.
That's it. Cam Wolfe, the Brazilian football insider. I love it. There you go. Yes. It's a beautiful thing. You will be divorced. You do understand that.
Hey, that's I'll leave it at that.
Yes, that's it. Because if we get caught in that area, we're done. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, wives aren't going to tolerate that stuff. Yeah, we know why you're going to Brazil. Yeah. Yeah, it's like all those dudes that love to go to Colombia. Yeah, we know why you're going to Colombia, bro. We know why you're going. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe and catch his exceptional work there at the NFL Network. And he'll be, of course, doing the Kansas City game this weekend. That'll be a lot of fun. Cam, be safe in your travels, my friend. Try to get some barbecue, bro.
Oh, I definitely will.
All right, man. You're good. There you go. The great Cameron Wolfe. The Wolfpack has been unleashed.
This has been the KSDT CPA Pro Football Report with NFL insider Cameron Wolfe. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full-service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit them at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
So it's January 20th. Today in music history on this date in 1982, Ozzy Osbourne famously bit the head of a bat off during a show in Des Moines, Iowa. A fan had thrown the bat on stage, and stunned by the lights, it laid motionless. The Prince of Darkness thought it was a fake one, so he picked it up and attempted to bite its head off, but the bat started to flap its wings, and Ozzy realized it was real. The rocker wound up being rushed to the hospital and was forced to get a series of rabies shots. Can you imagine that? You grab a bat, you think it's a fake one, you're going to bite the head off, and the thing starts moving. Oh, God. You wonder if it like bit his mouth or something at that moment or whatever. Now, that years later, we got to realize this. At what part of the concert did this happen? Did this idiot throw the bat up there like in the third song? So now I lost out on seeing Randy Rhoads and Ozzy Osbourne? I mean, in today's world, if I was at that concert, I want to find out who threw the bat so I can beat the crap out of him. Because Randy Rhoads dies just after this. Terrible, dude. In 1969, on this date, a student at New Jersey's Ocean County College named Bruce Springsteen got 2 of his poems published in the school's literary yearbook. In 83, on this date, Def Leppard released their 3rd album, Pyromania. The record featured new guitarist Phil Collen and was produced by Mutt Lange. Robert Mutt Lange, of course. Also Van Halen, Robert Mutt Lange. In 88, the Beat, and by the way, that Pyromania album is just an absolute masterpiece, man. Absolute masterpiece. In 88, the Beatles were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Yoko Ono, and Sean and Julian all attended, but Paul McCartney did not. Instead, he sent a letter explaining that his absence is due to continuing business differences with the other ex-Beatles. There you go. And in 99 on this date, sadly, Stone Temple Pilots singer Scott Weiland was on probation for a 1997 heroin case, was arrested for failing to provide a urine sample to his live-in drug treatment center. And sadly, he then passes away a few years later from overdose. Hell of a talent, man. Hell of a talent. That is what happened on January 20th in music history. Miami Cruz. Are you related to Freddy Cruz, the all-night cruiser? Thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, what's the latest Inter Miami new stadium? Sir, that's been approved and they haven't started, but it'll be a couple of years from now before I would say 2025. I would say that stadium will be ready. Okay? Because we're already in 2023. I don't think they started digging yet, did they? Or I don't think so. So you're probably looking at a 2-year build. I would say 2025 is probably the season that you're probably moving to the new stadium. So that is a ways away for now. But hey, it's at least the process is happening, and you never know. We'll see what happens. Big O, why has Tua been 100% silence since his Green Bay post-game press conference interview? Seems odd. No, it doesn't. He doesn't talk. He doesn't need to talk. He's not playing, dude. There's no need to talk. You're making something out of absolutely zero. Nothing whatsoever, Darren. There's nothing.
Not only that, has he been cleared of the concussion protocol? He's still an injured player. He doesn't talk.
Right. Yeah. But the season's over
no,
now.
I know that, but I'm saying.
Injured players don't talk.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is. Yeah, unless you're Lamar Jackson, you're in a contract dispute and you're throwing it on social media. Yeah, that's different. But injured players don't talk. Mutt Lange also Mr. Shania Twain. Really? He's married to Shania Twain? Or was? Oh, that's right. That she did just get divorced. She's a little cutie, I'll say. She is definitely a cutie. Wow, Robert Mutt Lange. Yeah. He's twanging and twaining it. I like it. Or was twanging and twaining it. Would you put Phil Collins as a top 5 drummer of all time? No, I would not. Great drummer. Probably not even in my top 10. Maybe even my top 15 or 20. I don't know. There's a lot of drummers, bro. Singing drummers, you can put them up there. I did this once. I had some fun with people, right? I said, who's the number 1 singing drummer? And some of you may know about this already, so I'm not going to do this again because I fooled people and I screwed with them a little bit. And Phil Collins came in and Don Henley came in and all that. And then I threw a curve on everybody. I said, Karen Carpenter, bro, is the greatest singing drummer ever. Because her voice is just, God, it goes to some sick levels. But yeah, no, I don't think I would have Phil Collins. I could probably name easily 15 or 20 drummers I'd have over Phil Collins. Great drummer. You know what I mean? But no, I'm not putting him in the Bosio category or, anything that, be Neil Peart or, some Ginger Baker or, no, I'm not doing that, bro. Not doing that. Heck of a drummer, but I'm not putting him at that level. What do you got?
No, I remember there was a crazy thing about the whole Shania Twain and the first husband breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was with, hopefully I say these names right, Marie Ann, who was married to a Frederick. And then they basically ended up switching partners. Anne-Marie went with Robert Lange, and then Shania is now married to Frederick.
Okay.
And I don't know all their last names and all that stuff. But
so it's an episode of Wife Swap.
Oh, it was hilarious because I guess Lange was cheating on Shania with the Marianne.
Right.
And then Frederick is the one that told Shania, and then it all.
There you go.
It's one of those things. It was hilarious because I remember it was a weird whole thing that happened. With
She's got to be pretty hot to be cheating on Shania. I don't know how the other woman looks, but I mean, I'm not that like this biggest like, oh my God, Shania smoke, because she's a little skinny girl, so it's not nearly my cup of tea. But she is a beautiful girl. So if he cheated on Shania, damn, dude, that's some crazy stuff. Pyromania started my fandom of Def Leppard, says Alexis. Who do you think has done more drugs, Ozzy or Keith Richards? Boy, that's a rough race right there, bro. I'm gonna go Keith Richards because he's slightly older. That's the only reason why, So I'll go that way. That's it, because he's been around a little longer. That's about it. Pat in Asheville says Karen Carpenter was a phenomenal drummer, amazing, not even close. I know, that's why I kind of I tripped everybody out with that one, because nobody would think that. You know what I mean? You're going to bring up all the obvious ones, Phil Collins and Don Henley and things like that. Nobody's going to bring up Carpenter. They're not going to think of her. Plus, they're not even going to imagine that she's like really good at it also, because she was really good at it. Yeah, every drummer on the planet wishes they were half as great as Neil Peart was. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all. But there are others that you can make that argument. I don't think this team should spend money on a running back. Mostert and Wilson are fine. Defense can't worry about the running game with Tyreek and Waddle out there. I kind of disagree with you, Jesse. I would like to get a little bit more of a power back and a guy that can punish people a little bit more. And durability is also something that it's a problem for Mostert. Those are the facts. And he was the better one out of the two. And man, I was really impressed with Mostert, I got to admit, but he's got an injury issue. So I would try to get another guy that has the potential to be a starter over those guys. I will say Salvon Ahmed did very well. Very impressed with him. Very impressed. All right, it is time to wrap it up here at the beautiful offices of KSDT CPA here in Doral. Remember, they've got locations also in Broward and Weston and in Palm Beach County. 305-670-3370. They can help your business excel. They can help you personally. We got, you got to file your taxes here in a couple months, and you got to get ready. Call the great people here at KSDT CPAs and tell them that Big O sent you. They will take care of you, I promise you. We thank Ira Winderman, Manny Navarro, Scott Pianowski, Cameron Wolf, as always. And, of course, Sean Stanley, the man that masters this program every single day in the entire platform. We will see all of you on Monday morning. Holy crap, we've got an entire weekend off. Get to rest the voice for the weekend. We'll see you Monday morning, 10 a.m., same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a good one.
This is the Big O Show. This is the